We're starting the app now. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 95 of the Destiny Digest podcast. we're here today. Talk about all the news of the week in Destiny 2. Tonight we have Tidley, we have Epic Dan, and we have Asefa, as well as myself, Danfinity. You have me for as long as the weather holds out. We don't know what's going to happen. Shout outs to Bonnet and to Sammy Cat, who couldn't be with us tonight. Kind thoughts their way. They're both dealing with like some sickness stuff, so sending all that their way. But with the folks that we have here today, hey, how's your week? Everybody doing well? You guys are looking good. You're smelling good. I don't know.
Oh, great.
Yeah. We had a pretty good week here. I got a new book. And
what book?
It's a book by Cory Doctorow, and I don't think it's going to be the uplifting story that everybody thinks. If anybody's thinking it's going to be an uplifting story, it's called The Lost Cause, and it's about 30 years from now in America. Yeah.
Okay, some light reading, you know.
I'll just let you guys like. I read the prologue in the bookstore for so long. I was like, this is the longest I've sat and read anything in a while. So I should just get this. I should get this and actually like read it. So got that.
I may have something for you to recommend you. I'm
currently
reading.
Sick. I have a stack of books that I need to finish.
You should see my TBR. It is bad. But you know, that's okay.
Yeah. Honestly, I also got Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche. Because
oh god, you're reading like light stuff.
Yeah.
Also light reading.
Yeah, also very light
romance novels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very light reading. I got it because I was like, I had this book when I was in high school. Also, it had like a painting from this artist named Hablik. That Jenny and I, when we were in Germany, we saw like an art museum had like a whole display for them, like really cool art. So I was like, I kind of have to buy this. I don't think that I can get out of it. Like, so that's where I'm at. But yeah, what about you guys? Anything big? And did you guys get any books? Did you guys like play any games that you guys liked? Anything big?
Ooh, I got books.
Sure.
Let me hear. Ordered the Aragon series.
Okay.
The Broken Binding, like a collector's edition.
Mm-hmm.
It is beautiful, so I'm so excited to get that. It's gonna be like a few months before I get it, but woo, so excited.
Heck yeah.
There's cool. That. And then I have books to recommend you, but I don't know if you want them on the podcast or not, so it's up to you.
Oh, we can like hit me up afterward and we can talk shop.
Yeah. Definitely.
Definitely.
Other than that, that's pretty much that. That's it.
Gotcha.
My big news of the week.
Perfect. Tidley, what about you, friend?
What about me? So, I played a lot of Destiny this week. I did a lot of fog farming, but I got a lot of time lost Fatebringers, but I have no idea what role I want. There's just like 80 perks now, and I don't know which ones are good. And I already have one that's, explosive payload and frenzy, and I'm like, is that good enough, or do I need to get a 7 out of 7 on this? Like, this is a lot of, and everyone was just laughing at me because I don't know which one's a good role, and so now I have 7 or 8 of them in my vault, and I think I'm just gonna keep them all and just say we're just gonna.
That's what I like to hear.
I think we're just going to keep all of them. No one told me which ones were good and which ones weren't, so I'm just going to keep all of them. I have vault space. That's what it's there for. It's meant to be used. I'm going to use it to store all of my time lost Fatebringers. I worked very hard for them. So yeah, bug farming for red borders and master farming too. I did get the Vogue exotic to drop also again this week. And then I did like a dungeon race yesterday, which was like all 10 back-to-back, 2 teams.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
With modifiers for gifted subs. So basically, like, you can mess with the teams if you want to gift subs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
different things like you can only use glaives and swords. That one was super fun and I loved it. I know you would have loved that one, Dan, but I did not.
Give it to me.
We did duality with all blue weapons and no
Mhm.
exotic armor, like that kind of stuff. We did, oh my goodness, which one? We did the pirate one, and I was the VIP, so I couldn't die. If I died, we had to reset the encounter. So it was just like a bunch of fun stuff like that.
Cool.
But unfortunately, one of our teammates got sick, so we didn't finish. But we were in the lead by like at least one encounter for like most of it. We got all the way up to the second to last dungeon. We had the boss at a quarter health, and then unfortunately, she also we had to stop the run. But I mean, it was a solid like 7 hours straight of dungeoning, and it was pretty fun. So
Nice.
so yeah,
that sounds
really
fun.
good. Yeah, and then I did D&D on Friday, so it was which is IRL gaming, of course.
Of course.
It was one of my D&D group members' birthdays, and so I made chocolate caramel cupcakes for the first time. I made caramel, and if you've ever watched the British baking show, you know caramel is
It's tough.
a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
You can, if you get the temperature wrong, it can crystallize. You can burn it very easily. Like, it is a hard thing to make, and I nailed it. And I have never been more proud of myself in my entire life. I was like, if you're talking about like gaming stuff, I was like, I gamed this caramel, I kicked its butt. And then I made the frosting and it separated. So I had to redo that. But the caramel was perfect. It was so good.
Let's go.
That was so good.
Nice.
That's excellent. Oh man. I get to do a D&D thing here in a few weeks.
Hell yeah.
And I'm very excited about it. It's like a little cameo thing in somebody else's campaign.
I love it.
But it's gonna be it's gonna be so fun. It's gonna be so fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's all you can say. It's a secret.
It is kind of a secret. I can't say much else about it. Can't say much else about it. But
we still should do some Baldur's Gating in this group. That would be really fun.
Yes.
Baldur's Gating.
Would love
that. I would love to do that.
Maybe when the new patch comes out.
Which is when? When does that come out?
Soon, right? Isn't it April? I think
it's supposed to.
April.
Wait, we're waiting for another patch. I thought we already had a patch. Wait, Baldur's Gate.
Well, there's a big patch that's coming that's adding like more classes and stuff. So
correct.
I think that's
that's still not out. I thought it was out.
No, it was like I want to say it was in testing in January, and then full release with crossplay.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Patch 8, right?
Due out in 2025. Okay, I'm not finding a date.
Yeah.
In a quick Google.
I don't even think they've announced it.
Soonish.
It may not be announced yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be soon. So
I hope
we'll keep an eye out for that.
They keep putting out videos that make it look so cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. It should be great.
I wanna do another run with my first group.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping we get it soon.
Heck yeah. Epic Dan, what about you, sir? Anything major?
Outside of just living in Vault of Glass this week, not too much. No.
Same. Maybe you can tell me which Fatebringer to keep, Dan.
Well, here's the crazy part. Like I've told a lot of people this week, if you have spent any time in Vault of Glass previously before like this episode, all your god rolls are trash now. Throw them all out the window. You got to go back in there and refarm it all. And at least for Fatebringer, there really isn't a bad perk combo. Some of them are probably like, I can't speak for the PvP specific ones.
Yeah.
But especially like the time loss one, having 6 perks makes it very easy to find or to have at least every perk you want on 1 or 2 weapons. So you're not crazy saying you're going to keep all 7 of them at all.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
And I say that with an entire vault of new ones myself. So
yeah, because apparently the new intrinsic is really good.
Time Loss Magazine is
Time Loss Magazine,
good.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's pretty much all I've done. Yeah, I probably will just only keep living in there until reset,
Yeah.
and then go into
Which you
hibernation
have a day,
until
Dan.
yeah, even more.
Me too.
And just go into hibernation
Dan.
until it comes back. Yeah, that's so. There's really nothing I enjoy more than hearing oracles. You know, just I hear
Now,
them in my
are you
sleep.
somebody who can tell which one they are by their specific tone? Because I mean, I don't have perfect pitch, but I believe that's correct, right? They all have
Yeah, you can hear
different
them by
tones.
there's an actual key to each one, and
Yeah.
there was a time I could back a couple years ago because I had done it so much, but I've lost.
You knew them by heart.
I knew them by heart. Yeah,
Amazing.
I knew like I think it's just because of how much I did. I knew where they were. I don't think I ever knew them by the actual key until
You're like, well, this is a
community member.
G flat.
They
So.
told me like, what, yeah, they were like, this is this key, this is this key, this is this key, and they would love to do the oracles, and even in Atheon, they would love to do the oracles just because they didn't need to see anything. They just heard it and they knew exactly what it was.
Which one it was? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah, I too have been spending a lot of time in Vault of Glass this week.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
I'm the only one who wasn't.
Yeah,
Damn.
we did like. I'm trying to get better about like branching more into masters, and so we were doing those. We did a couple of those this week. A couple of norms for folks that just wanted the red borders that didn't want to fuss with any of the adept stuff, which I understand.
Mhm.
Like,
Sure.
because people want their collections, man. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with that this week. I didn't play anything outside of Destiny this week, guys. Like, I was going to play a little bit of Pillars of Eternity off stream because I'd never played that, and that's like a 10-year-old game. But I like started playing a little bit of that, and then I was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna hop back into Destiny, I think, and just knock out some stuff.
Who are you?
I don't know, man.
What year is this, Dan?
So we were talking a little bit earlier about some of our experiences in Destiny, the Seth and I before the show, and I was like, I just think Heresy is really good. Heresy is a really good story. It's a very good episode, and I'm having a ball in the activities as well as getting these getting the weapons. The weapons, like I'm having a blast with. Like the SMG is one that I played with extensively, like over the past couple of sessions, and really enjoyed it. You can probably hear the thunder rolling, maybe. I don't know.
I cannot hear it.
All right,
but,
that's good.
cannot.
It looks bad out there. So
it looks bad on the weather radar too.
But so like that, those weapons have been cool. The glaive's been cool. Yeah, I just like the grenade launcher. Just really enjoying the aesthetics and everything that's kind of coming with this episode, and I think that's what's drawing me to like to spend more time in it. I even like, so I have not been the biggest Salvation's Edge fan, but I'm trying to like force myself to be in it more and playing, and like rolling through it with people, especially like on the helper team, just to get them more acclimated to it too, so we can get some runs down. Like we've been good about like keeping it to like about an hour 30 to like 20, or like to 2 hours kind of thing, like hour 30 to 2 hours
with teaching people.
Yes, with teaching people, and I think like a little bit under an hour 30 for just like our helping runs. So that's
really
good
for Salvations.
Yeah, so or like with our runs with the helpers where everybody knows what they're doing and is just kind of cruising.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to be more active and way late to the game, but I'm making like a Canvas slideshow to explain Verity on stream, and just have that as like a thing that I can cycle through when people don't know exactly what they're going to do. And so yeah, that's been my week. It's been kind of fun. It's like playing Destiny, and it's been a while since I felt this enthused to play Destiny, if that makes any sense. Like I skipped all my variety playing on Thursday, which makes no sense.
And you're probably not forcing yourself to play, you know?
It feels like I'm doing it because it feels fun, and not and
Yeah.
not because like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
feel like I have some quota to meet, or like if I don't
Yeah.
finish this, I'm gonna feel bad about it when Frontiers comes out or whatever. It's just I'm
Yeah.
just chasing the
That's
fun
what I
with it.
meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because a lot of us, well, I think most of us, probably all of us at one point in time has probably booted up a stream knowing you really don't want to play Destiny in that time.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
want to deal with even the conversation around Destiny,
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
maybe in that moment. So, no, that's good because I've been
Yeah.
there, and I always tell my community, I'm saying, if I'm playing Destiny at the time, I'm playing Destiny. I'm never gonna. I've gotten to the point that I'm not going to press launch unless I
Mhm.
actively want to engage with the content,
Right.
or at least with the game at that time.
That's kind of why I instituted like versus variety Thursdays into stream, because I was like, I
Mhm.
need to do something that is not Destiny on
Yeah.
Thursday nights and like
That's fair.
to keep my
Yeah.
sanity. So, but yeah,
Yeah, you got to do something like that.
yeah, Thursdays we did raids and it was a lot of fun, and we were just joking and being jerks, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. So this week in Destiny, what all other than the Vault of Glass, has anybody like run any GMs? Like anybody like done any rushdown roulette, or any rushdown roulette's something else, but done any rushdown or anything like that? Any thoughts?
I did play a bit of Rushdown.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy Rushdown. The one thing I didn't really like about it, but I mean it's normal. It's
Mhm.
part of the activity itself. The one thing that was a bit frustrating was that some runs or like some days, I guess, were just because of what boss was in that boss rush, if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It became like kind of difficult to get a high score just because of the boss. It's like, you know, some bosses are like just
Yeah.
big sponges. Others are like easier to take down, or like the mechanics or so on and so forth. So my only big issue with Rushdown, and again, it's not that bad. It's that the fact that if you didn't do Rushdown every day,
Mm-hmm.
if you ended up on a day where it was like, oh, you know, you get a lot of bosses that are just bullet sponges or just harder to take down, then getting a higher score becomes like
Tougher.
very
Way
much
tougher.
like way
Yeah.
tougher,
Way
right?
tougher.
Tougher for not in a sense that for no reason. It there is a reason, but like it's a bit frustrating for people that either maybe don't have the time to play every day,
Mm-hmm.
or people that are like, you know what, I'm just going to dedicate one day to that and not play every day, whatever.
Right.
And I get it. It's, and again, it really isn't the end of the world. It's fine, but it was my biggest gripe. Again, it's nothing, and I know it's nothing. But that was my thing where I was like, damn, if I'm not trying to play every day and get a high score every day,
Mm-hmm.
then depending on where I play, might not get like top 10 or whatever. I might not get a really good score. And that was my only thing where I was like, kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, but I'm like, wish there was a way to fix that. I don't know if there is, but I wish there was a way to fix that.
I mean, counter argument, you could just kind of play it a different day if it's really hard the day you're playing it, or you don't like the process, you know?
Yeah.
No, but again, like let's say I played today, right? And it was fun. I enjoy it. It's a good activity. I hope they keep it. And really enjoy the activity in its own.
Mm-hmm.
But when you tie it to like a high score for the Guardian game stuff, like for example, let's say like I played today, and it was okay today. It wasn't the best, but it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say that was my only time of the week to play it, then I'm kind of quote unquote fucked.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And again, it's not the end of the world. It really isn't. And I know this. Like that's my and the fact that this is my only gripe about this activity,
Right.
I know it's nothing. The activity is good. I like it. It makes you revisit some stuff you may not have like played in a while, some stuff that is just plainly not available anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I
Quoria?
really enjoy it.
That Quoria fight?
Quoria.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that, and then just like I don't know, it's really fun. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I hope they keep it. I hope they jazz it up, quote unquote, if they bring it back or whatever. Like, are they going to keep it just for Guardian games? Maybe. If they bring it back for other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I hope they kind of find a way to make it slightly different. I don't know, but as an activity, it is really fun, and I really enjoyed it. My thing is it being tied to Guardian games and having to try to get a high score to either go top 10% if that's what you're aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
that part, if you're not playing every day to get like the best possible boss rush like list, if you want, that can be a little bit frustrating. But again, that's my only complaint, and it's really not the end of the world. And I get it. I'm just saying, like, here's my negative side of it. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. I think it's really fun. Um not this week, but I think I don't know, maybe I think for 2 weeks in a row, I tried to get like a 500k plus score with the team, and because I feel like if you get 500k plus, you're usually going to have the glowing butt in the
Oh,
Yeah.
tower.
100%.
Because it's pretty challenging. Plus, it's like I don't know if it's an arbitrary number to aim for, but that's like what I was aiming for, just moving around.
That's what I'm seeing from the
And
Rushdown Roulette teams that are winning is like over 500. Like
Yeah, and honestly, like it was a blast. Like we didn't hit the 500. It took like I think it took like about 3 attempts to get like a 500k score, but it was really satisfying because like I feel like any kind of more challenging PvE activity, every time we did it, we improved a little bit, we honed things up a little bit, like we figured out who was going to go where and do what, and like we improved and we hit it every time. Like you know, and I was running with some of my friends who were good players, but I thought it was really fun. I don't know, for me it doesn't captivate me in the same way that like a Pantheon activity captivated me. I don't find it as challenging. I mean, it's challenging, but it feels perfectly placed for Guardian games, in my opinion. Like it feels like a great activity. I enjoy running it in Guardian games. I love that they added something absolutely brand new.
Yes.
But it
Agreed.
doesn't I'm not like addicted to it like I was to
Right.
Pantheon. Like, you know, I feel like I'm happy for it to get put away, and then I'm going to be really happy when it comes back. So, yeah.
I think I'm looking more for that, like that Into the Light experience with the Rite of the Nine. I'm looking like at that as more the thing that'll probably keep me around a lot longer.
That's gonna scratch the Pantheon itch more than this has, but it feels like a really fun new activity for Guardian games, which has really sorely needed a refresh.
Something.
As do I would say most of the seasonal events need some kind of activity refresh, because that's a very, very common complaint from the community.
Yeah.
So this was a great facelift. I think they crushed it. I think it's really fun.
Somebody in chat was asking about like why it was like a daily rotation instead of something like just random bosses. I kind of like like it brings people together in a way. Like they don't highlight what the rotation was. Madalat in our Discord has been like just posting all 5 bosses and like, oh, this might be a good day or this might be a bad day to like try to go for it, helpful. Like something like that. So like super helpful. But it hasn't like, I like that there wasn't really a formality to it. I like that there was a lot of surprise to the bosses that were coming in. I like that it made you think about your strategy a little bit more than just like running whatever you have on you at the moment. And what I've been primarily engaging with it through that Rushdown Roulette activity with Shield Maiden and Zavalar. And like when we're doing that, we have to do like a GIF rotator that tells us what debuffs and stuff we have to take in order to do that activity. And some of them are just like really stupid, but I don't think that we've cracked 500 yet on any of our runs, mainly because of like schedule constraints and everything. But it's been a lot of fun just running with them, running the activity, just kind of playing the cards as they lay on that certain day, and seeing what we can come up with strategy wise. So that's been cool. I like Dan, do you have any thoughts before we get into maybe some criticism of Guardian games?
I mean, I have criticisms as well, but like no, I mean, I've talked a lot about it with my community. I made a video and I literally said that this is, and it's a very low bar, but I do think this is the best Guardian games that they've ever put out, which it is a very low bar because we all know Guardian games has been looked at quite unfondly, to put it lightly. But
very diplomatic.
Yeah, like this is, I would even put it so far to say that it is probably the best seasonal event they've put out since Destiny 2 has come out. Like I can't think of a single one that I have engaged with as much.
Revelry.
Not even Revelry, to be honest.
Really? I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
And I really like Revelry, but Revelry, unfortunately, is like that outlier.
Mm-hmm.
Only
know.
because it wasn't as
And didn't come
contained.
back. Yeah, I know.
Well, it was besides that, but Revelry was like across the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could
Yeah.
do the Revelry stuff in
Right.
raids. You could
And
do
you
the
could
Revelry
break
stuff
everything
in-
everywhere.
Yeah, you could like imagine.
Yeah.
Basically, like I don't even know if I count Revelry as a seasonal event, even though it technically is. If you look at the core four, you know,
Mhm.
you have the Dawning, you have the Solstice, you have the Halloween event, and you have Guardian games, and not including Revelry, I guess, because Revelry is really good. But in my mind, I don't think of it because I don't have any. I guess it would have been tied to what, Easter, I guess, or like spring just changed. I
Yeah,
don't know what
just
they really
spring.
would have called it. Yeah. So outside of those,
Mm-hmm.
I think this one has been the best.
When Revelry was around, you had Crimson Doubles to kind of like that was like
Yeah.
a little
Oh,
bit
yeah,
before it
that's right.
too. So
Yeah,
like
that's right.
that was
Mhm.
like the seasonal thing, and then like that led into Revelry, and
Yeah.
like yeah, Guardian games. It's interesting. I guess congratulations to the Titans. Like there's just like
Oh, it's over already. I know.
yeah, it's
Let's
way
go,
over.
It's time,
Titans!
it's
way
time
over.
for them to change it. They got to change
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like I don't understand why.
It always feels arbitrary. Like
It is
does,
arbitrary
agree.
because if you look at it, like I went back and looked at every year, and every year a certain team won. You could almost connect it to whatever the hot new class was.
yeah.
When Warlocks won, it was all about Starfire and Sunbreaker spam. And now when Titans win, in the last couple of years, it's been Bonkhammer and Prismatic Consecration and Bolt Charge.
I see.
Mhm.
So
It's
obviously
rigged.
like it kind of
Yeah.
is.
It's
Feels like
weighted.
it.
To
No,
It's
kinda
heavily
showcase
weighted.
the class that Bungie
Yeah.
wants to bring forward.
And when
I mean-
Hunters won, did they win? Either way, like they had to like
Yes, they
scale
definitely
back
won.
Hunters because they knew Hunters were going to
Outnumber
win
everybody.
the first year because they had to like drop it down 20% because like they
Mhm.
knew so many Hunters were going to play because at the time
Mhm.
everybody was playing at least a Hunter. It wouldn't have been fair. And now you look at the history of it, and it's like sooner or later they gotta just. I hope that they take Rushdown
Mhm.
and use it as a foundation for future seasonal events as well. I don't know if they will because like maybe they like it staying with Guardian games,
Mhm.
maybe. But I think Rushdown is good enough for them to pull out and make their own version of Rushdown for each event. I think it's good enough if they do some tweaking to it. But like because of Rushdown and it being a new event, this is easily the best version of a seasonal
Mhm.
event that I've remember experiencing.
What
It's really good.
what I'd like to see them do is like remember when you would pledge to a faction and like they did like
Yeah.
the faction war kind of
Yes,
thing.
yeah, that was like pre. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if instead of doing it along class lines, you did it for like Zavala, Shax, or Zavala, Ikora, or Crow, right? Like those were the three
tied
that
to
you had to
Vanguard
pledge
then.
to. Yeah, you had to pledge to them, and like those were your
Okay.
teams. And like
Yeah.
once they hit a certain threshold, it would be like, well, this team has enough pledge to it. Like you're kind of like stuck with maybe one of the other
I wouldn't
two.
be against that. No.
Yeah.
Because like
It adds some choice.
it has some choice, but like I don't personally pledge to any of them. I have the
Mhm.
most time on my Warlock, but at this point in the game, I play all three of them equally, and
Mhm.
every day I was playing the Rushdown.
The Russian.
I was playing the Rushdown, and every time I was on a class, I would just go dunk the medals, and I would say to my chat, "Here you go, Hunters. Here's my medals," or "Here you
Yeah.
go, Titan. You can have these medals," because I have no connection to any of them because I play all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Having it tied to the Vanguard would not be a terrible idea, honestly. I kind of would like that. As long as they keep Rushdown, I don't want them to make me go into Gambit or Crucible for medals.
Mhm.
Yeah. Talking about Crucible, that was one of my biggest issues with Guardian games.
don't
Rushdown
like
was
supremacy?
amazing.
Or you
I
don't like
don't mind
seeing 6 Bolt
supremacy.
Charge Titans?
no, here's the thing. I actually wanted to check, but I talked to Dan a little bit about that earlier because I that was my biggest gripe with the whole event itself, technically, quote unquote. Like again, loved Rushdown, enjoyed it. I again, like you're saying, I hope to keep it either for this specifically or bringing back and like tweak it a little bit for different activities. But I played Supremacy because I was like, oh, I'll try to get the high score right every week. I did it the first 2 weeks. I didn't do it this week because I was like, you know what? I am so over this right now. And like the thing is, I did 2 weeks. And then it was around like 20 games for the 2 weeks, right? Not for 1 week, but for the 2 weeks. And out of those 20 games, I want to say that I had maybe 3 games that were not Hunter.
Just 6
I played
hunters?
I played as a warlock, right? And out of that, I think I had like 3 games where I had Titans. I think I didn't have any games where I was against another team of warlock. And I'm so sorry, but like Supremacy is fine.
Wait, I thought you can't match against your same class though.
I don't know, but like out of 20 games, only getting 3 games against Titans was like, really? I'm facing only Hunters. And that was so frustrating because Hunters are, in my opinion, in a good spot, like a really good spot in PvP right now. Yeah. And I was just like, I was so tired of like facing the same compositions every time. And like, I don't know. And I was just like, why can I not play another game mode? Like, even if it's a basic ass game mode, like, I don't know, Control. Whatever, nothing big, whatever. But like, give me another possibility in Crucible. Or like somebody talked about Scorch, right? Give me something stupid.
This is where they do big team battle. This is how they bring it
right
back.
Like give me like
12v12 Guardian games.
Yes.
It would be stupidly funny, but like I don't know. So to me I was like, I'm forced to play Supremacy. I don't mind Supremacy. I don't love it. And then I'm facing the same class every time. I don't know. It just didn't feel fun. I disliked it so much. This week I was like, I'm not even trying. I don't care. I am not doing it. Even just for the weapons, I do not care. It was so painful the last 2 weeks. No. So like to me, I was just like, okay, you want a side for like the PvP, cool, that's good. But like give me more options. At least like I don't know. It was not fun. I disliked it so much. I was sad.
One of the things that we also talked about was like, so for the challenges for the like the title and everything, right? Like one of these in the cards requires you to do 15 contender and platinum cards completed, which if you're passively playing Guardian games, like that is harder to do than not. And it feels like that's just a lot like to do even over like I feel 3 weeks, like even if you broke it up into 5-5-5, it was.
Isn't it just picking up a card every time you do like say a Nightfall or a GM or something?
But it's more like, here's the thing, right? To me, I talked to Dan about this. We talked a little bit about that. I feel like if you've already done Guardian games and you're like gilding it, right? The requirement should be a little bit lower already, in my opinion. That's just me. But then also it's like, yeah, you have to pick it. You technically, quote unquote, only have to pick it up. But it's either you use the app. So you have to remember every time you leave like a Nightfall or a Strike or whatever, you have to remember, oh, I have to stay in orbit, grab a thing, and then go back into it. Or you have to go to the tower. Either or, right? Both options are fine. But it's more like, oh, I have to keep track of that. Whereas to me, especially now that Guardian Games is not anything very new other than Rushdown, but the title itself doesn't really have anything new. Like it's the same thing it has been for like the last few years, I guess. I feel like it should be like, at this point, that title should be you play, you get it done. Like you will get it done just by playing without having to think too much about it. I feel like that's what it should be if you're not going to bring something completely new to it. But now it's like, oh, I have to keep track of bounties. And that's another thing, right? Bungie has been trying to get rid of bounties as much as possible. But for events like that, for Guardian games, you have to keep track of your bounties and you have to remember to grab bounties every time you do an activity. And it's kind of like counterintuitive in a way because you're like, oh, I'm running Nightfalls. No bounties at Zavala anymore. It just doesn't exist. Or same thing when if you're doing like Crucible, there's no bounties at Shax anymore. So so you don't really think about these anymore or related to that specific activity. So I don't know. I just feel like that should be either lowered or not existent. It should be like, oh, you need to do rushdowns, whatever amount of rushdowns you need to do, or whatever. It should be changed to something like that. To me, this activity is old. This event is old, I should say. I should just be able to complete it by playing it. I'm not saying play very little of it, like play a lot of it, sure.
Yeah.
But it should just be play it and then you'll get a title done by just playing it.
I feel like I think you're hitting something on the head with the bounties. And like Hash was talking about earlier, said like having to go back to the tower every 10 minutes in order to get like something to complete this was kind of a pain. Like, we've had several different systems for experience for bounties in the game. Originally, when the game started, it was like you just went to a planet and there were like 3 offered per day on the planet planet side, and you just had to complete those and then move on. Then they moved back to bounties, which was a D1 system, which isn't perfect in its own right, because as we've seen season over season, bounties are used to kind of as like kind of a crib sheet for like boosting your power at the beginning of a new episode or a new expansion. I like the Pathfinder system that they have, and I wonder why like something like that wouldn't work for an event.
That'd be cool, actually. I'd be down with that. Like, play it, complete the path, reset your path, do it again. I don't know, like, let's say for the title, you need to reset your path, like, I don't know, 3 times or 5 times or whatever amount, doesn't matter. Actually, that'd be cool. That'd be really, really cool. I'd be down for that.
Yeah. Especially, like, I engage with Pathfinder way more than grabbing bounties anymore at the tower. Like, even from my phone. But
I disagree. I have not engaged with Pathfinder at all. I feel like it pulls me out of the game in not a good way. And I feel like it's more onerous for me to go back to it to check what I need to do. And like, I mean, I appreciate that there's different ways you can get to the loot, but I am just interested.
Yeah.
At all.
I will give you the fact that having to go to it to look at it to see what you need to do, that part I agree is annoying / takes a bit more time sometimes. I agree with that. I wish there was a way you could, like, you know how the bounties, you can click on it, highlight it, and then it comes into your menu if you pull your ghost. I wish something was, I don't know if that's possible in Pathfinder. I don't think it is. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't think so. If there were a way to track it better, like in the like UI HUD, I probably would be more amenable to it. But
like at the top,
like you can track bounties or track missions or quests or whatever. I think that's probably the problem. And the other problem is that I feel no real need to grind power. And I haven't for seasons. Like there's like, and that's not a bad thing. I would argue that's a pretty good thing for the video game, but I'm not trying to get these pinnacle rewards for any reason. Like, I mean, they haven't increased power requirements, you know, and then also, even so, I have all my friends are playing the game all the time, and so they're really high. They always pull me up. I'm not stressed about grinding for GMs. I'm not stressed about grinding for raids. Honestly, I'm glad you guys are getting loot out of the Pathfinder system. I have no need for it at all.
Right.
I'm so happy playing the game, ignoring it. I don't need it.
But
so,
then,
you know,
you don't care about bounties either, quote unquote, right?
I know, not at all.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm happy to ignore all of it. Like, I don't need, and I know I'm actually taking all of it out of the game. You don't need it. Like, none of it is necessary.
I know, exactly. But that's the thing, right? I think that there needs to be a way to either make the Pathfinder more, like, to interact with it a bit easier, like, you know, tracking the different nodes that you need to get or whatever. Because I don't do it for the loot either. I do it more for the XP usually. And I don't really do it, like, I don't really keep track of it. I tend to just play, and then I somehow complete it, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. Great. I love that. Let me just randomly complete it, and at some point I'll be like, cool, that's done.
Yeah.
But the Pathfinder is less intrusive in the way that you don't have to remember to pick up a bounty. It's just there. It exists. It's not great for tracking. I wish, like you said, you could just track it better, because that would make it even easier. Yeah, you get XP at Bright Dust. That is really true. Like, the Bright Dust part is also very nice.
Okay, and then maybe it is also like a I play this game a lot problem where
Mhm.
because Otto is saying I play it for golf clubs and Bright does, like, I don't need golf balls because I do
Yeah,
a
you
lot
play
of
a lot.
GMs, or I
Mhm.
do a lot of
Master
master
content.
raid farming. I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
have any room for any of these,
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
like, I just don't need Pathfinder. I'm like, take it
Yeah.
out. It's unnecessary.
I was just
I can see
thinking.
the argument where it's better than bounties because it exists in the background, but I'm not going in and clicking it, so it's not
Mhm.
doing me any good either. Like, it's the same
Right.
as bounties for me because I'm not collecting the rewards. I may be completing the nodes. I think I may have collected the rewards twice, period,
Mhm.
ever.
Which
So,
is fair because, like you say, you
yeah.
play a lot, and for you, it brings
It
kind
doesn't
of quote,
matter.
unquote, nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact is, it's just like you say, it exists in the background, right? Whether
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
interact with it, like, it's fine. It exists. It's there. You get stuff or you don't. But to me, it's more like, oh, you don't have to remember to do it. It just it's there. It will complete itself, and all you have to do is like click the things.
Yeah.
But I think that for you, the biggest issue becomes like, yeah, I don't really need anything from it. Fair. But it also, like, you can't really track it correctly or
Mhm.
easily. So that makes it harder to interact with it for you, which again is completely fair. I agree with that part. I wish it was easier to track. But I still prefer this way of functioning for Bungie over the bounties, because especially since they've removed so much of the bounties of like the ritual or like the Vanguard, the Crucible, Gambit, and all of that stuff. I wish they would kind of try to do for events something very similar, like another Pathfinder that might be easier to interact with or whatever.
Mhm.
But
Like
it
you
would
could
just be in the
grab it
background. I
from the
wouldn't
quest
have
page. Like
yeah, exactly, and I
if
wouldn't have to keep track of it. It was just
Mhm.
it's there. Complete the nodes, and like if maybe one of them is like complete all of the nodes, whatever, don't care. But like it would be easier because like I don't have to go back and grab a freaking bounty just to
Mhm.
remember to do this one part of the event when we don't really use bounties anymore. Again, they
Right.
exist. I know like Banshee has them and like a bunch of other vendors have them, and that's fine, that's fair, but the main activities don't have them anymore, so like I lost the habit of keeping track of these things. And I don't interact with those anymore anyway, so it's
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, there's
Looking
nothing like there's no perfect solution, but
Mhm. I also think that like maybe the way that I'm talking about it, like I'm looking at the limited time event, like Guardian Games event card
Mhm.
thing, and like
Mhm.
they've made it so that the UI on that page is like pretty crowded with like, hey, you have to buy the book, or then you have these are the upgraded event card rewards in case you purchase the book
Dude,
if you purchase
yes.
that pass, and
Oh
then you have the
god.
event challenges up top, which are free for everybody, right? Like
Mhm.
if you like putting a Pathfinder node in there on that screen might crowd out like one of the upgraded event card rewards, but I feel like that would personally, I would rather see that there and be able to interact
Yeah.
with it from a quest screen rather than something else. I don't know.
Yeah, like I just feel like it's an it's a get it forget it type of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
then play the game. Again, it goes back to play the game, finish the thing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
somebody in chat is saying 3 to 4 games to finish a Gambit Pathfinder. And we're talking about just getting from like one end of the Pathfinder to the
Mm-hmm.
reward track of it. And it's the same thing with Vanguard. Like play a few like do a few nightfalls or do some strikes or whatever, and then after a while you'll probably have it done. Unless it's like something very specific
Mm-hmm.
for some reason. Um so I think for events like that, having something like a Pathfinder, it doesn't have to be as big of a Pathfinder,
Right.
right? Because it's an event. It doesn't last forever.
You just take what the
But
bounties were and you throw them
yeah,
on that
you
path,
put it
like in random intervals.
exactly.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And I put some of them that are like, there's always one that's free every week. Like I try to grab them because it's free XP. It's literally free XP. And put something like that. I don't know. I feel like it'd be easier to interact with, and it
Mm-hmm.
would remove this idea of like, oh, I have to keep track of my bounties, which a lot of people don't really do anymore.
Right. All right. Any other thoughts before we move on to the stuff in the TWID?
I still don't like that word.
Twid.
TWID. Twidlid. 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 I'm sorry. We're gonna get DMCA'd. That was too good.
It's okay. Oh god.
Here we are now on this screen. hosting the Twid. So this week we have a few things. So all hands on deck for Act 3. We will get one new area that will be available in the Nether, along with new encounters and hazards. Court of Blades will see new foes and mechanics arrive, and our Barrow Dyad exotic submachine gun will have 2 new catalysts, as well as its 5th and final intrinsic. Last but not least, there's also new Darkest Corners of Oric's ship, where we will go to the Sunless Cell, which is the new GM that will be entering in. It is the GM from, or a strike from King's Fall, or Taken King, that will be coming into Destiny 2 as a GM in Act 3, starting next week. Thoughts? What is everybody excited for Act 3? What are you looking most forward to?
I haven't played a lot of the story, so I'm not going to really say anything about that. But I do have a question, though. When they say for the Nether, they're like, oh, new area available, whatever. That's good. I'm happy with that. Does that mean all areas will be available now? Is that what it is?
I think, well, I don't know, because what of the actual Dreadnought do we still need access to? Like, we need the access for the Sunless Cell section,
which should be there. Well, should be available soon-ish.
Isn't Shield Brothers on the Dreadnought?
Yes.
So
But they didn't talk about that,
need
did they? Right?
That section.
No.
You also have that. You had the Cabal ship,
I was just wondering.
right? The Cabal ship section from back in the Taken King.
Yeah, we need the Cabal section.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought that they were bringing all of the Dreadnought back.
No.
Yeah, no. My question was more about, how like when you run Nether, sometimes there's like a Taken shield like door in some areas you can't really access.
Oh, you're
it.
asking, would they have a version where everything is unlocked?
Well, that, or is it accessible in different versions of it, right? You run one, it's not accessible in this one, but then you run another one and then it's accessible, right? Are all of these areas like quote unquote now accessible, even if it's by random chance type of thing? I don't know if anybody knows the answer
I don't
to
see
that.
why
Probably
not.
That's okay. I would assume so if it's Act 3, but
yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, we'll find out.
I think aren't they adding another area? I feel like they said they were adding another area to the Nether.
Yeah,
for this act. So maybe that's what's there. I don't know. Maybe that's how you get it to.
That was in that first sentence that I read there. They're adding another section.
Yeah.
So like
but you may not be able to do all of it in one run.
Right.
Right.
Because I mean, even now there's 4 sections. There's 4 sections, and you only get 3 per run. Outside of that first week, which I think you could do all 4, if I'm right, if I remember correctly.
I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Can't remember.
Anyways, I've slept since then. But the but like playing through Nether, I'm glad that they're adding a new section, because like that is a fun place to explore, at least like in my experience. I haven't been going in as much lately, just because I've been doing other raids and stuff and chasing my joy that way. But I'm glad that they're adding another section that might get me to get back in there and try to get some more of those adept versions of those weapons, or those shiny versions of the weapons.
Yes.
I have not.
Shinies are going to be shinies and adepts should be dropping more too. Which is nice. Happy about that. Really happy about that.
Very much so. Are there any weapons from this that you guys have been like messing around with, that you guys have been enjoying from the Nether and the Court of Blades activities?
Yes. I Watchful Eye, which is the machine gun.
Yeah.
I got one that has Rolling Storm on it, and that means that final blows grant bolt charge. So that combined with a bolt charge Titan is very strong for ad clear. And I have to say, this may be the first time I have taken off my commemoration. Like, I don't even know how long. So I really love this machine gun, particularly with Rolling Storm. It is a really busted new perk. It's fantastic.
Hash by the way, in chat says Pugilist Rolling Storm Psychopomp goes crazy for melee builds. Yeah, the Psychopomp's like solid.
I heard really good things about it. Yeah, that and the bow.
Mm-hmm.
Those two specifically.
I don't think I've gotten a bow that hasn't had destabilizing rounds on it. It's like I don't know if that's just RNG, like my RNG or what. But every time it's like, all right, stabilizing rounds. Let's see what this is about. Like just mess around with it. It feels good to shoot. I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, I'm most excited for a new section of the Nether to explore, and then for the Sunless Cell to come. We were talking a little bit earlier because we were talking about GMs and everything. Sunless Cell is still classified in the API. If you look at Braytech, it seems like it'll come into the rotation on April 22nd. But you guys thought that maybe it would pop up in the node first on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it'll be in the node. Just because
Probably,
it was accidentally in the gilding node when they pushed it out. So I don't see why it wouldn't be in the gilding node. I would be very surprised if it wasn't available for gilding.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to most, is getting that done and out of the way, and
getting just having Conqueror
done.
Conqueror times 14.
I feel like that's going to be super fun. But also, Rite of the Nine comes out, correct?
Yes.
Later on in Act 3. I don't think it comes out next week.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not Tuesday. When does that come out?
I think it's probably going to be a few weeks after Act 3 comes out and resolves the story.
After the story. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's going to be a few weeks then.
Mm-hmm.
But that is going to be really exciting. So as of Tuesday, I'm most excited for Sunless Cell, 100%. But I'm most excited in this act of Rite of the Nine, because if it's anything like Pantheon, I'm about it. Let's go.
Heck yeah. Eagerly awaiting Rite of the Nine. That's gonna be super fun. They said you can tune rewards in Expert Nether and Expert Court of Blades. Higher chances for weapons, adepts, and specifically tie this with your output. So yeah, that's gonna be cool. Guardian Games ended. Titans won. So congratulations, Titans. Hunters and Warlocks. Better luck with whatever they do next year. We did get to see the artifact perks for Act 3. So in Column 1, we have Unstoppable Rocket Launcher. Rocket launchers you wield fire a powerful explosive payload that stuns unshielded combatants, strong against unstoppable champions. Additionally, rocket launchers are always overcharged when the modifier is active. In Column 2, we have Vile Weave. Targets hit by your tangles are severed. Picking up a tangle reduces tangle cooldown. In Column 3, we have Perpetual Destruction. Rapid final blows with non-exotic rocket launchers refund ammo and increase reload speed for a short duration. In Column 4, we have Gold from Lead, probably the one that I've seen most talked about online. Picking up special ammo has a chance to grant heavy ammo. Column 5, we have To Shreds, dealing sustained damage to severed targets unravels them. Defeating a severed target creates a hotspot of strand energy, granting woven mail to nearby allies for a short duration, and you get a boost. Unraveling projectiles deal increased damage. Those deal further increased damage to severed targets. How do you guys see utilizing these in your kit, other than the gold from lead, which I think is probably the most utilitarian out of all these?
I don't see a lot of this. I've looked at it a lot, but none of it, out of looking at all of it, none of it seems game breaking for end game. A lot of times you'll see a couple perks and you're like, oh man, this is gonna be so good for end game. But none of this is going to, at least from what I can tell, unless there's some niche build that comes from it. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that points to this is going to be really, really, really strong. But that doesn't mean none of it's going to be good. I think a lot of this is going to be really good stuff for people that like rockets. But the problem obviously has always been, I don't know what content, unless Rise of the Nine, but I don't know what content is going to require me shooting a rocket at ads. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
maybe Rise of the Nine, maybe something like that. The only thing I know that obviously is going to be pretty solid is for those of us that use double special loadouts. That's just
Yes.
an easy one to pick up for heavy. So that obviously is going to be really good, and
Yeah.
probably just overload rockets will be kind of neat to have. I'm hopeful that something niche comes out of the whole woven mail thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple builds I'm gonna try to mess around with.
Yeah,
but
Cryo Phoenix
I don't
says
know.
that Swarmer's Warlock is their prediction to be good.
Yeah, I'm hoping that
Oh,
is
okay.
useful. So, woven mail is still really, really good with the DR, and with Ghost of the Deep and Spire of the Watcher and Prophecy, all those are dungeons that if they don't do any nerfs to Lord of Wolves, I can see being really, really strong in those dungeons, which means you don't have to use that specific special weapon for ad clear, so then you can use a rocket. So my hoping is that if they don't touch Lord of Wolves and we're using Lord of Wolves in Rise of the Nine, then the rocket will be able to solve maybe some of our ad clear stuff. Could be interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. I don't know that any of these are going to have a significant impact on builds or gameplay styles besides the ammo one, like which seems obviously that's awesome.
Yeah.
But then I was wrong about the Arc Titan that being really good. So I don't know if I'm in a position to say
I'm on a
anything.
losing streak. I feel you. I am on a
I
losing
know
streak.
I
So.
might eat my words. There might be something really fantastic here that we're not picking up in terms of how strong it is. I think it's always safe to say we need to get this in our hands and play around with it in actual gameplay to know what's going to work. I do have to say that I have been struggling a little bit with legendary heavy damage options. Right now, I feel like maybe it's a good problem to have, but I feel like everything is kind of tuned in a similar place. And so I don't know what I should be grabbing if it's a linear or a rocket. Because my go-to is always going to be an exotic at this point for damage. But when I can't, and I think what yesterday when I had to, I couldn't use an exotic, I was like, okay, well, I can use an exotic in a different slot for like special ammo, but what am I going to pull for damage? Because I feel like, which maybe is an interesting problem to have, but like I feel myself reaching for mostly machine guns for ad clear. And then I'm running something else for damage in a different slot, which is a kind of an interesting place for the game to be in. But it's also I'm also kind of like, well, if I have to do damage with my heavy, what am I picking? Like, where do I go? Like, is everything really that balanced? Or maybe I just don't know at this point. So
No, your thinking, at least from what I've noticed, is kind of common. And I was talking about this yesterday when I was doing Master Vault of Glass, and I was saying, a lot of the best tool, maybe not the best, because someone will probably say this is whatever, but a lot of the tools that a lot of people are using for boss scenarios are either special weapons or exotic heavies.
exotic
Like
heavy.
it's got to
Yeah,
be an
exactly.
exotic, you know.
Yeah.
And the only time I can think of not using my heavy for ad clear or just that mid tier enemy that you have to kill that's not going to be killed from from a primary, but you don't want to burn a single shot on like something like that, is a machine gun most of the time. Machine guns are balanced very, very well.
Yeah,
And
I
now
agree.
that we have the Vault of Glass weapons with the Vault of Glass perk, their ammo economy is way higher, really, really good. And then you have some of the best perks for ad clear and for mid-tier boss damage. Like they're
Yeah,
not gonna be
like
as good
backup.
as they're gonna be
Correct.
really, really good backup damage.
Yeah.
And it also is very, very strong sustained damage, especially because you can dump 150 like bullets off before you have to reload, and that's probably enough time to at least do some damage to the target for the entire damage phase. So it's interesting because like your thought process is how I've also felt, because like I went through all the work to getting like the Vault of Glass rocket, and I have a really good roll, and it's really, really great.
But
But
you're not
it's
reaching
just
for it.
it's just sitting in the vault
Yeah.
for a couple months down the line when I know I might need it for, like, say, the next contest raid or something. But even then, it's heavies are in a situation that if the target's close enough, I'm going to either use a sword or Lord of Wolves, and if they're too far, I'm just going to use Queenbreaker.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if I can use any other weapon, like a special exotic or even sometimes a primary, then I'm just going to put a machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So it is
I agree.
interesting.
Yeah.
So
It is
rockets
interesting.
are going to be really, really useful next season, but probably not for the reason that we normally use them for. And I've
So-
seen a lot of people look at the artifact and say, "Why would I use a rocket for ad clear?" And I'm like, probably unless you're doing
Gallahorn?
Yeah.
unless you're one of the few people doing solo witness, and that's the only other way. That, like, obviously solo witness was just completed with the new Vault of Glass Adept rocket. So obviously there is a use case for it still, but in sixes, in 3 players,
Sure.
there's more than enough tools of destruction that you technically don't need a rocket, at least currently, until they do some patches or some balancing or some nerfs or some buffs.
A
It was
rocket,
interesting.
a rocket that I just thought might double dip from this, like from this entire thing. What is the rocket that came from Solstice last year? The Strand rocket that has
Duolingo? Not Duolingo.
Duo died, dude. Duo died. Everybody was very sad. Everybody was very sad for a while, and now I think they faked his death. I don't know. Anyway,
I think he's back. I think Duolingo is back.
Yeah,
saved.
Dua Lipa is back. And
yeah, Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa. Yeah, Dua Lipa is back. No,
the only one I thought about is this other one. The one Semiotician.
Mm-hmm.
That one is the only one that I think if that it's Strand, it's a rocket. It has a couple of perks that lets you have like 20 shots.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one that I think I'm probably gonna use Tuesday just to see.
Yeah,
because it'll dip into like the rocket stuff and dip into the Strand stuff.
Yeah,
but like I don't know.
I just don't see myself reaching for rockets except for Gallahorn very specifically or like big ad clear scenarios like Vow, Master Challenge, Third Encounter. Literally Gallahorn is a no-brainer. It clears ads like no other weapon that you can pull in for that. I also feel like rockets have a very niche spot in GMs like Lightblade when you want you really want to DPS down a target quickly because it's a big threat to you. So it's possible that if Sunless Cell has a boss that's similar to the Lightblade boss, that we might be reaching for rockets in that for that particular GM just because we want to get kill the champions really quickly in that room if the boss is really mobile, which is the case for Lightblade also. But I agree with Doomhammer in chat that the ammo economy for rockets right now doesn't feel as good. But then we're getting gold from lead too. So who knows? Like maybe we will be reaching for rockets this upcoming season more so. I do think I don't think any of the heavy options are bad right now. And I think that's positive, but I also I think they're being overshadowed by Queensbreaker and Lord of Wolves so much that we're not reaching for them. And that's okay because having a really huge amount of ammo in your machine gun to clear ads and using your machine gun as a primary weapon feels amazing.
Yes, it does.
So like, and I find myself running double special machine gun more often than not, which is such a power fantasy and it feels fantastic. So I'm not complaining about it at all. I just in relation to the new perk column, I don't know how that's going to all tie in.
And it also feels like when you're in like an end game activity like GMs or something like that, and you're running a machine gun for overload, you're not letting your team down, right? You're like you're helping them build into that whole scenario. So yeah, I've been finding myself doing that too. Just running double special because it feels like I can now, and
you can because you can just kill all the ads with your machine gun and still have ammo.
Yeah.
And especially since a lot of the activities we're doing right now have like Quarter Blades has ammo boxes after every single thing. Gambit, same thing. You're getting ammo constantly. You're not just getting heavy pull, you're getting special pull from every box. So it's like if you're not running double special in those activities, you are throwing. Like you literally could be having more fun playing the video game than you are, don't
Right.
use any special ammo in those scenarios. Like if you have it on your character and swap if you run out. Like if there's
Mhm.
a strange scenario where you run out. But I think that really has a lot to do with where heavy weapons are currently.
Mhm.
Specials have
Yeah.
left from gold too. So like I already have the idea in my head was they're gonna see people making the gameplay loop of I'm gonna have 2 specials,
Mhm.
double special, and then run
Yep.
left from gold on both of them. Pick that perk, so when I pick up special, I get heavy. Left from gold is gonna help you get more special, and then you're gonna have this loop of having 3 weapons, giving you ammo to the other weapons and more ammo to the other weapons, just from having 3 lead from lead perks.
Yeah,
All
so
in your
I
weapons.
see what you're doing. You got a little ammo
Yeah.
loop going on, Dan. I
Mhm.
like that. That's good.
So, but like Tilly said, at this point, it's until I get it in my hands.
Mhm.
I'm not. I hope it's good, but I just want to see it in my hands first.
Sure.
Any other comments on the new artifact stuff before we move on?
It does seem more chill than previous years, which I think that probably leads into my thoughts on it.
Mhm.
Because generally, like the last column has sometimes historically been like, we saved the best version for last, type of stuff. But we already had 2 really good ones. We already had the beam ones, and we already
Mhm.
had particle reconstruction. So unless they were to have given, unless they were to make some of these things work for exotics, which obviously they were smart not letting it have exotic tie-ins, then I don't think being underwhelmed by this column is a bad thing,
Mhm.
which some people might be.
Okay. Ammo in particular. Any perk that gives us more ammo always makes
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. So we're gonna have Iron Banner next week.
Woo.
Saladin will be back in the tower next Tuesday for another amazing edition of our back to being weekly PvP event. Honor of the old traditions and the guardians that fought for humanity before you were raised, and then get some amazing loot on the side. We're adding 2 amazing weapons this episode: the Warlord Spear Arc Trace Rifle and the Peace Bound Adaptive Sidearm. Both are great in PvP and PvE, and both will be dropping when you complete matches or focus Ingrams with Saladin. If you don't have a role you fancy yet, or if you are looking to earn your Iron Lord title for the first or the 9th time, we hope you're ready. Anybody hopping in specifically to Iron Banner for those 2 weapons?
Did they say what game mode it would be?
It doesn't say.
It's a surprise.
Okay.
It's
I'm gonna
the cabal.
depending on the game mode, I might jump in.
Mhm.
Not specifically for the weapons, they're more like a nice to have. I haven't heard anybody say that like Warlord Spear, like the trace rifle is amazing or like godly or whatever. So I
Mhm.
think they might
It's
be
really
good
good.
It's okay, cool. But I mean we
Okay.
have had other weapons that might be better. I don't know. Might
It's
try to get one,
it'll
but
be
I'm
really good for people that didn't play Guardian games or didn't get the Guardian games trace rifle, because it's the only other
okay,
arc
shit.
trace that gets the jolting feedback perk
Okay.
on it. So
Oh, that's
it
good.
doesn't get overflow, but some people
Mm,
don't like overflow somehow,
yeah, fair.
and they prefer
Crazy.
triple tap or rewind rounds. So I personally
Yeah.
don't think it's good, but if you're one of the people who prefers rewind rounds over overflow and you want to tie it to the bolt charge and jolting feedback or for like the geomags and stuff, it's
Mhm.
what you want to go for.
Okay. Well, if I get one, cool, but then I'm not gonna really focus on that.
Yeah.
Or like maybe gilding Iron Banner and or just
Guild and
seeing
Iron
what's
Banner.
Iron Lord?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah,
have.
Iron Lord, right?
I do it sometimes. I don't think I did it last season though, I'll be honest. But
I think
if
I'm
I
really
like the game
close to
mode,
accidentally finishing that.
I've done it on
I won't
accident.
But
I
do
did it on
it. I
accident.
won't do
Yeah.
it. I can't
But
get a
that's the
PvP
point.
title. It's
Oh my god, okay. You I swear. No, but that proves my point of like accidentally guilding it, right? It's like, oh,
yeah,
I just played.
Yeah.
just because I don't play PvP, but to almost accidentally get the title is kind of what you're saying you want to happen.
Exactly, right? It's like
Yeah.
just play it. You'll get it
Yeah.
at some point. You
Yeah.
don't have to
Now,
turn
do
it
you
into
ever get
content.
close and want to just commit and just be, oh, I'm 10% away from me now. Let me just stay in Iron Banner.
I think
Exactly, that's what I do sometimes.
I think
That's
they
Yeah.
emailed me even, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're really close.
Oh, yeah,
you're
you
only
said
one
that.
away, remember?" And then I was like, I don't
Get
care.
back in there,
It's
Guardian.
fine.
You're
I'm
so
good.
close.
Whatever.
good.
I'm gonna guild Gambit again, and don't worry about it.
But that's the thing, though. It's like, but that's another one that sometimes you're like, if you play, I don't play Gambit anymore, but like, if you play whatever activity, and then you're like, oh, I'm playing for whatever reason. You're playing to get a weapon. You're playing to help people, or it doesn't matter. But then you're like, oh, I'm playing, and then you end up doing a lot of these triumphs just because you're playing, and then at some point you're like, oh, I'm missing like one triumph, or oh, I'm missing like 10% of that last triumph that I
Yep.
need to finish it. And like Dan said, that to me it's more like, oh, I'm already there, I'm just gonna finish it now. That to me makes
Yeah.
me more interested in finishing and getting the title again than these like random ass things where I need to pick up stuff or whatever, right? So I'm like,
And yeah, neither motivates me, Seth. I'm just
no, but
like,
it's fair. That's
I think for me, it's just like the FOMO. I understand how that like motivates people, but
Mhm.
there's so much FOMO in Destiny
So
now.
much.
Yeah.
I have no FOMO. It's almost like the excess of FOMO
It worked
has
differently.
like
It worked
super
against it.
saturated me, and
Yeah.
I cannot absorb any more FOMO. I have just given up. I've given up.
No,
Things
but
will
you're not
pass me by. That's okay. I'm just like, I'm gonna play what
You're-
gives me the dopamine rush, and that we're good, right?
You are completely right. That's what happened to a lot of people because there's
Yeah.
always a FOMO. Every week there's something happening.
Too
that's
much
gonna give you
FOMO. I'm like, I can't handle anymore here. It's enough
No.
here in real life. Like, I can't take this
That's-
anymore.
F
No,
you,
but-
FOMO. No more
No, but
FOMO.
True. I've hit that point too where I'm like, you know what? If I get it done, I get it done. If I don't get it done, I
Yeah.
unfortunately do not give a shit anymore. And I used to go
Yeah.
for all of these titles like religiously.
I hear
Yeah.
you.
Man, I got
There's
a
mountain
40-hour
riders
job
who
now.
Still do. There's people who still do, and I respect it.
No.
But I just can't live my life that way anymore.
Yeah.
I just
I've got-
can't.
I've got a 40-hour job now. I can't do that.
No, I really
Yeah.
like. Dan's like, I literally cannot. I literally have not enough time.
But it's also like yeah, that's one part of it. A lot of people are busy and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But it's also like, dude, you're giving me FOMO every goddamn week about different things. So like at some point, like Tiddly said, there's just so much of it that you just don't care anymore. You stop caring. And that's unfortunate because it's like, oh, well, I used to really care about this thing, but now there's so much things I need to do in like very specific times. I don't care anymore. Whatever. I get it done. I don't get it done. Too bad, so sad. And that's kind of unfortunate in my
Yeah.
It
opinion.
is unfortunate. I don't know that it would be nice to have kind of like an intermediate, because I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever been a player where I have never been 100% completionist player,
Mm-hmm.
at least on Destiny. Like Final Fantasy, yes, 100% complete. Like there's games that I've loved so much that I want to do everything in them, and it's great. Destiny has never been one of those games for me, but I feel like we've kind of like over tipped scales
Mhm.
where it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like
Yeah.
it used to matter to me a little bit. I would like, there would be certain tiles I'd be like, oh, that is so cool. I need to get that. And it's time limited. Oh my God. I feel that way very infrequently about Destiny. Pantheon, that really got the juices going. But yeah, I can't think of something recently that I felt that way about the game.
Mhm.
I retired from being the 100% player about back in 2021. Yeah.
Mhm.
I got to the point where I'm like, I'm tired of just clocking in just to check that box, you know.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's,
Yeah. You're
then
doing
the last
job.
straw for me was when they got rid of the unbroken seal. When they finally did that, because I got in, I guilded for like 2 years straight. And after that, once they said we're retiring, I said, you know what? I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice once they do that. I'm stepping away. And I only engage
Yeah.
with the parts of the game that I enjoy. So
I love that.
We all have our
I love
limits.
that for us, but it's such. It
No.
feels like a very like a more rational and reasonable way to approach
Yeah.
the game.
Well,
and I like that.
that's
healthy,
one I
you know?
heard. I heard about that one, but I also heard. You remember when Shadowkeep came out, and there was what was that season called? Undying? Was it
Undying?
Undying?
Sure.
Yeah,
That's when it came with the
right.
Undying.
Yeah, and you remember like it came out. That's when Destiny expansion started to be like delayed.
Mhm.
That's when it started.
Yeah.
So that season came out late. Like, well, Shadowkeep came out later than it was supposed to, and instead of Bungie like pushing the seasons further out, like rescheduling everything, they decided to keep the end of the season at the same date. But it was a season. If you still look at the requirements for that seal, it's one of the most stacked
I
seasonal
remember.
seals ever, and it was like one of their shortest seasons
Mhm.
ever. It was crazy.
So much
If you
Vex
really
offensive.
Oh my god, so much of it. I didn't mind that, but like it's more like you had so many things you needed to do. It was like the most requirements, like triumphs for one specific seasonal,
Yep.
and it was shorter, right? So a lot of people didn't manage to finish it in time because of that. And then after that, I know a lot of people, like friends of mine, that just straight up stopped caring. And it was the first season seals were like out really. And they were
Yeah.
like, I couldn't even get the first one. I don't care about the rest.
It was the first seasonal seal. Like all the seals we had,
Yeah.
the 7 before were like either raids, the
Yeah.
Yeah, they
expansion
were more like
seal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
they were
the
not a
dungeon
specific
one.
date, right?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they had a date, but not like that. That one was crazy.
Is that
And
that
after
the
that,
least common title? Like, do you know what they track that, right? Do you know what the
The least common
I think
title I
Warmind
think
would
Reckoner,
know.
is
right?
still no. Now it's either Salvation's Edge title.
Yeah.
Really?
Warmind,
Because ain't nobody doing that.
Dude,
It's
I
a
want to
fun
do it, but I also don't care.
I
Arcana
want to
class
get
is
every
good.
raid.
Yeah.
But-
The only titles I still make sure I do are the raid one. Like
Yeah,
I've got to
100%
the point
have
where
to
like
do
I'll do the
those. I
raid one,
agree.
and I will.
I need to,
I don't even do the dungeon one anymore because I'm like, as long as I get my solo flawless and I get my contest clear, that counts for my seal. I don't care
Mhm.
to go in and do it with all arc or all void. Like no.
I still
Yeah,
need to
sword bearer is
Salvation.
pretty rare because of featherlight. That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
gonna
my
look
god,
at
don't talk to me about that one. I hated that thing.
What?
I did it, and I helped. I helped.
I had
set
to
it
do
up
it a few
for
times
friend
as
of
well,
mine.
and it's
Oh, I
it
hate
wasn't a
that.
quick one.
I've
Wasn't a quick
yet
one.
to do it. I'm not looking forward to
Okay,
it.
don't call me down. I love you. I will do
You
every
can call me,
other
man. I
time.
got you.
Don't call me for that one.
I'll be there with you.
I will help you with every other Master Crota challenge. I will not do Featherlight.
Featherlight is
Like-
so
Fair.
much fun, and
Okay,
I
you know
love
what?
it.
Call Tiddly. Call
Call
Tiddly
Tid-
for Featherlight.
I'll do
Tiddly,
it too,
Dan,
yeah.
you're on
I
deck.
have done Featherlight helps. I love
Yeah.
Featherlight. It is so much fun.
I
Like
hate
basically
it
you're
so
just
much.
stranding your way around the map.
Yeah.
You do have to
I
be
hate it.
very focused and coordinated, but
Yeah.
it is we did it in like 20 minutes the first time I did it. Like it is not as bad as people would say
Okay,
it
but
is.
Tiddly,
It really
I'm so
isn't.
sorry. I have to call you out on this. Who did you do it with?
I mean, some pretty good gamers. Okay, so to be fair, Steph, I heard it was really bad, and so I ran stacked. Like, obviously,
I know.
I
Yeah.
was like running stacked. I called up all
20
of my
minutes the
friends. I'm
first
like,
time I
20.
did it.
But even then, because people said it was so bad, I was like, this is gonna take so long. Blah blah blah. You know.
You ran stacked. I'm so sorry. I love you. But like you ran stacked. That's
Absolutely. I'm not gonna go into Featherlight with like people who know where.
No, I know.
Just
I think
kidding.
I ran
No,
stacked.
but we
too. I
did.
don't
We
remember
did do helps on
Having
that
raid
too.
armor also
Yeah.
helps, and I think that's one
Yeah.
issue that I
Mm.
did a lot of helps of
True.
it for people.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed for Featherlight is that no one had raid armor. And if you
Mm.
have ever used raid
It helps a
armor,
lot, yeah.
the raid armor literally knocks off 20-25 seconds of your timer.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
And
true.
once I told people to do that, once I told them to do
helps a
that,
lot.
it went
Yeah.
significantly faster, helping people who struggle with that challenge. And that's one thing that a lot of players don't take into account is that a lot of these challenges in raids, they technically assume you're having the ability to use the raid armor.
Mm-hmm.
For example,
That's
the original challenges for DSC way back when like technically was hard, for example,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
became way easier if you had the raid armor from DSC. to do those challenges for the third and fourth encounter. But a lot of times, like anytime someone struggles, like when I would go help someone do Featherlight, I would first question I would ask, how many pieces of crowd armor you got? And most of the time they'd be like,
Smart.
I got one, I got maybe two. And I was like, well, there's your problem.
You're like, I can't help you. Find another stream.
No, but like, okay, to be fair, like it really does help. You can do it without. We did it without. As far as I remember, like we did. It's much more difficult, 100%. But it's one of those triumphs that require you like very much to have like if you want to make it easier for yourself to very much like requires more pieces of like armor. But whereas like other raids, after a while, like if you have it, it's great. It helps a lot, but it's not.
I would say Guardiann also. A lot of them do, but some of them are niche for one encounter. For example, Guardiann also had the same issue where people struggled for doing like the final boss. Don't touch me, whatever.
Yeah.
That strat.
That one's
that
where you have
was
to
also very difficult. You have to empty the entire floor, and you have to do it with like nothing there, something like that. And you have to then rebuild it you have to kill 20 Vex with the floor.
Oh yeah, you have to build and kill them like by building.
And the problem a lot of teams I helped do that with was they would struggle with doing 4 phases of damage. Because back then, I know people forget, but Sanctified Mind used to be a consistent 3 phases, maybe 4 with a cracked team, maybe 2. But same thing, I would be like, how many pieces of armor, raid armor do you have?
Yeah. Now that one for sure.
2 or 3. Well, how many of them? How many people have enhanced relay defender? Put all 5 pieces on. We're doing 50% less damage per person without putting that on. And then like it took the 4 phases to technically 1 phase because everyone actually put on the armor. And you're like, wow, that was way easier. And I'm like, yes, it's way easier.
You're not wrong.
So much easier. Yeah.
It's just like it's not a skill thing, but it's like a knowledge thing.
Do you think these things are good though for the game, or do you think they're kind of persnickety and finicky? Like
what, the raid mods?
Yeah, I mean, do you think it's super specialized, or like you think
they're super niche, which is why a lot of people don't think of them. Yeah,
I don't use them anymore.
Salvation's Edge's raid mods are really, really good.
Yes,
but for example, the only time I used a couple of the mods was in my duo witness, and the only time
ammo perk work now, Dan? Because I know it wasn't working before.
It works now.
Ammo mod, it works
now. Now you don't really need it, but it works now.
Yeah.
The other thing also becomes like it's depending on how much, like we talked a little bit about this before, right? Not everybody raids. Not everybody has like the chance to raid, and even less people have the chance to raid multiple times. Like both Dan's and Tiddly also. Maybe I don't know if you still do raid helps, but like all of you have done raid helps, right?
Yeah.
And you know, some people like they're maybe desperate is not the right word, but like they come in because it's the only way they can do raids is by going to helps, like raid helps channels and so on and so forth, right? So for these people, sometimes they might not know like, oh, you need to keep your armor. And also there's also the first like other people, it's a question of like, oh, I'm gonna keep that armor just to do a raid. It's kind of like, and I don't have the vault space for it. Maybe,
no, I agree.
Yeah.
Right. So it becomes this thing of like I've kept, for example, a bond of every raid.
Same.
For my warlock, because I'm like, at least I'll have one bond and I can put like one piece, like one like one thing, right? But it's also like some people, like for example, for me, I've kept the bonds, but I haven't really kept any other things because the rest of my armor that's not like exotics, for example, it's all artifice armor. I've farmed a lot of like dungeons and stuff to get artifice armor because I wanted to get better armor for better builds, right? It becomes like, oh, so I'd have to sacrifice a build, quote unquote. Again, not the end of the world. I fully get that it's not the end of the world, but it's more like my builds are made with artifice armor, so I'd have to change builds, rearrange stuff just to like put in pieces of raid armor that I probably don't have anymore. I'm so sorry. Again, I don't keep these.
That's
pieces
a tough
of armor.
situation.
Right. It's more like, oh, well, it's not efficient, quote unquote. And I know we talk about that all the time, but it's more like, oh, I've already have my builds, especially now that you have like the build stuff already, you know, in game and everything. And like Dan said, like I I'll be honest, I legit forget there's mods for raids.
Yeah, but you don't. You,
And
like, you don't
nobody's-
need them until you have
Well,
to. Until you
Until you need to do
something
like a
really
challenge or
specific and
something.
challenge it.
Yeah.
Exactly, because it doesn't
That's the
matter.
problem.
You can
Mhm.
like you
True.
can use blue weapons in a raid. It doesn't matter until you get to a
Mhm.
place where like the parameters are very specific, and then
Mhm.
then they become a difference maker. Like, but you
Yep.
don't have to build that way unless you're doing Featherlight, unless you're doing a Guardiann boss challenge. Like, there and even for like most, I would say there's very few raid challenges where where the armor helps to that extent.
Yes.
Yeah,
Dan,
Agreed.
like I
Agreed.
I haven't
There's
used.
generally at least one in each raid, from
I
what I've
don't
noticed. But
typically-
again, it comes down to the further away you get from a raid's release, the less you need it. I notice.
Yeah.
Because a
Sure.
lot of those
Also true.
situations become less.
Also
For
very
example, like the whole thing with Witness, and for the majority of, say, Master Salvation's Edge, ammo economy is a situation that you struggle with sometimes, especially on Witness and Herald. And the raid mod for ammo makes that significantly easier because most of the time we have resonance.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you have resonance for the majority of those two fights, so your ammo economy issues become less. But again, if you're not in that activity, you're not going to see that situation. And I guarantee in a year, those challenges for Salvation's Edge will be significantly easier. It's just, I don't know why that's the case, but like, it's just the further away you get away from like new content, the less you need it.
well.
Mhm.
Some people also want this raid armor to be applied to any armor.
Mhm.
And if it wasn't Bungie, I would agree. Because knowing historically what Bungie would do, they would make me have to pick
Right.
between, like, say, a concussive dampener or the raid mod, you know, or pick between
Yeah.
ammo scavenger.
sure.
They wouldn't give you an additional slot. And if they
Yeah.
do give you an additional slot, you then have to decide, do I want this 4-tier or
Yeah, because it
2-tier?
costs you something. Yeah,
it would-
exactly.
yeah, it's basically. If they were to make
It
it a
wouldn't be
free
free.
slot, then yes,
Yeah.
I'm 100% for it. But they haven't proven historically if that would be the
That
case.
they would
That's
do
all.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also like, again, it comes back to the thing of like, if people don't raid a lot, then the chances of
A lot
getting
of
the
people
armor
don't.
drops that you
Mhm.
need.
Yeah, a lot of people
And
don't.
No.
are the mods like, isn't a drop thing too? Or am I crazy?
They drop from chests, so
Yeah,
they're like
yeah,
a
but-
guarantee knockout.
So not only
may
is
not
it like
have
you need
them.
the armor for
Mhm.
it, but then you need it to drop from a chest.
Correct.
Mhm.
You not
You need
have
to get
it.
lucky.
They
on both
are
accounts, right?
separate. You can every hidden chest will give you one of the raid mods on a knockout system. Obviously,
Okay.
you can't
That's-
apply them until you get any of the armor from the raid. But
For
you
sure.
don't technically start getting raid mods after you get the armor. You can get that. You can go into any raid right now and
Mhm.
open up a hidden chest, and it'll give you one of the raid mods if you're missing
Okay.
one.
Mhm.
Okay, that's good to know. But like, I'll give you another example then. So some of the raids, it's easy to do that, right? There's bots and everything. But for Salvation's Edge, for example,
Yeah, you can't
even
do
getting the
that
hidden
stuff
chest,
English.
even on a bot, it's not easy.
Mhm.
Like I
No.
did it 1 week, and I was like, if it's gonna be that painful, I don't care. And I've done this raid like 6 times, I think. Even as somebody who used to raid a lot, it's like not it, right? So I feel like it becomes kind of it's a little bit gatekeeping in some ways for people like, oh, if you don't
Yeah.
already raid a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
and you
Mhm.
can't
Yeah.
really get a chest easily, then it becomes this thing of like, how are you gonna get it? Like, how are you gonna get your hands
that was
on
my
that?
question about it being too niche, because it is very specifically designed for people who will
Is
run the
niche.
raid a lot,
Yeah.
and a lot of casual
Mhm.
players don't have that opportunity to do so. I think
Mhm.
that's
I just
Especially
wouldn't picture
Salvation's
someone
Edge,
doing
which could
Yes.
take a
raid
while.
like challenge. So is all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to do a raid challenge, obviously
Hopefully
you
you've
should
run
have
the raid
done
a
it
few
more
times
than
and you're
more than
familiar.
once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not taking somebody through Featherlight who isn't familiar with that
I'm
encounter and
not.
hasn't run it before. usually if you
Dan might.
okay.
Oh.
We were doing Crota master challenges. Was it Crota? Oh no, it was we were doing Orcs master challenge helps. And we had one person join who had never done
Never
it
stepped
before.
foot in the raid.
And didn't know how to jump on their character.
Mm.
So they didn't know how to do, like, when they were randomly chosen, we had to talk, like actually coach them through how
Oh,
to
yeah.
jump between the different platforms in order to finish it.
That's wild.
And we did it!
Hell
it
yeah.
was so satisfying. But that's an exception. Like usually when you're running Master Challenge, helps are like some kind of like raid challenge. You have an expectation that people have a familiarity with what they're doing
and kind of know what the loadout into and bring with them, and
at least being prepared. Yeah.
There's exceptions. Like for example, there are very specific exceptions. Like if it's somebody that used to raid a lot before, and they were like a really good gamer, and they're just coming back to Destiny. They're like, I'm just trying to catch up, right? And you're like, okay, you were a really good raider before. Fine, whatever. We'll throw you in, explain the thing to you. We might wipe once or twice, but it'll be fine. Like you've done this type of thing before, so it's okay. But like that's the other thing with master raids. It's often like you have to have done the encounters or like the raid a few times, be like fairly familiar with it.
We had a guy today who like he joined. He played a lot of. He joined for a master. Vault of Glass.
Okay.
Yeah. He hadn't, I think he'd finished it Vault of Glass once on norms in Destiny 2, but knew it from Destiny 1. So they were like set. It was actually really nice. They did a great job. They finished it out and they're like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. So like, yeah. It was like
that's something else.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it exists, it's cool, but it's not easily gained. So is it really that useful overall? I mean, it is useful, but
not in a few months. In a few months, it's
well,
not gonna be useful at all.
It becomes less useful.
Yeah, so like I'm gonna hit up Dan, like both Dans. I'm like in a few months, I'm like, okay, like carry me through a Salvation's Edge master because I've done this. Let's go. No, I need to raid before that. But
wow,
it's really...
she doesn't even invite me, guys.
Doesn't even.
Imagine.
Didn't you say you would teach
ask how many times I've done all the master challenge in one sitting with a group of people? Nope. Wow.
Doesn't even ask your bona fides. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like doesn't even ask to see your raid report.
Wow.
Not even doesn't want to see your raid report. Doesn't want to see
she's like,
your fastest clear.
I only invite people named Dan. I have a Dan exclusive invitation.
Yeah, it's a Dan exclusive invitation. If you're named Dan, if your name is 3 letters, easy in.
Tiddly, this is payback for this week. This is what it is. Payback for this week.
It's fine. It's okay. I know you think I'm not very well. It's fine. I must not have taught you very well enough.
All right.
It's true.
Before this starts breaking into a scene of what I've seen on Love Island USA this past week, we're gonna talk briefly about Trials of Osiris. So this week's Trials of Osiris, the adept weapon is Sharia's Wrath. They have taken a pass at this week's map is Disjunction. And they've taken a pass at it specifically, crafting unique elimination-focused spawn points and objective spawn zones with the goal of pushing back engagements. Has anybody played Trials this past weekend?
I heard Disjunction and I was like, I'm not going in.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
There was also something else they did with it, right? They had some other.
So it's honoring Guardiann games. So it's class based. Spice things up.
Like
we're also introducing one of each class based matchmaking in honor of Guardiann games. So you had to have like a Titan, a Hunter, and a Warlock on your team.
I don't know. I've seen people play a little bit, but I didn't play either because I don't really do trials anymore, unfortunately. I don't know. I feel like they kind of stacked it in a way that made it not interesting for a lot of people. Like first, like Dan said, Disjunction. Why? And then
it's not Overwatch. What are we doing? That's what I said.
And then making it like 1-1-1 is, I don't know. I feel like they just didn't help themselves with that. Now, granted, it was what was it? It was Shayura's
Wrath.
The weapon was a good weapon, but
it is a really good weapon.
People like, heck this map, heck these restrictions. I don't know.
I feel like they didn't help themselves on that one, but
Mhm.
that's just me maybe.
They maybe niched it too hard.
Little
Also,
bit,
I
Yeah.
but,
noticed
you
player
know,
population was really, really low, so that doesn't
I
help
yeah,
mean,
either.
yeah, I'm not surprised.
respect on them for trying something. Like I feel like you can't get much worse. Like try, throw some stuff against the wall. See if it
Yeah.
works. It doesn't sound like it was very successful this week.
Mhm.
I guess we'll find
I'm
out.
sorry, but
I'll
that
find
was
out
funny.
tomorrow
Uh,
or Tuesday.
moving on from there, we have the upcoming Crucible sandbox tuning. So we'll just hit these real quick and then do audience questions. So Redrix's Estoc. So first up, they want to talk about the weapons. The recent change to lightweight pulse rifle damage has brought the lower usage options more in line with the rest of the sandbox. Unfortunately, and as evidenced by the most recent weekend of trials, Redrix remains a serious outlier. To address this, Redrix's Estoc will be getting its stat package toned down a bit more substantially to bring it in line with the BXR Battler. I can't speak. To finalize the comparison, BXR Battler will also have its airborne effectiveness stat updated to a more modern value in a future patch. Once Redrix's stats have been reduced and usage has spread out to other options, we could revisit the lightweight class of pulses as a whole and see if they need additional tuning. Any thoughts on that? I've run up against that a few times while doing Guardian game stuff,
Yeah.
but like outside of those games, it hasn't really affected me. So I'm probably not the person to ask about this.
When I
mean,
was
same
playing
as
Trials,
you.
I just noticed it was
It's very strong. It's
very
Mhm.
strong because I hadn't been playing Destiny at all for a few months. I was on my variety all holidays, so coming back to Destiny and messing around with Trials that first weekend and being like, "What the heck is Redrix?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every single game was very jarring, and whatever they can do to pull it back some, I'm here
Mhm.
for.
It's a little bit. It felt very frustrating. Again, I played mainly with Supremacy and stuff, but it felt very, very strong, and at least to me, as like a very, very average,
Mhm.
casual PvP player, it felt like I had no recourse against it. I couldn't really do anything against it, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
just not really fun. As being on
Yeah.
the receiving end of it was not really fun. So hopefully this brings it back, like they say, a little bit more in line, and it's still strong, but not, that strong.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Part of this like they're going to be pairing this with a nerf to aim assist for Lone Wolf. So, oh my God, hold on. You know what I did there? Never mind.
You closed
You
it.
didn't see anything. You didn't see
No,
anything.
I'm kidding.
Someone will know.
This will be paired with a nerf to aim assist on the bonus granted by Lone Wolf perk. So they reduce the base aim assist from 10 to 5, reduced AA bonus when not near teammates from 20 to 10, and increased base airborne effectiveness bonus from 10 to 15, increased AE bonus, aerial effectiveness when not near teammates from 20 to 30. So that'll result in a net decrease of 7 aim assist for Redrix users when paired with base Lone Wolf, and a decrease of 12 from its maximum strength.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I don't remember if the people that I play against had Lone Wolf, so I don't know how much of a difference it's gonna make. But stats wise, seems good, but we'll see.
Yeah. Closing time. We also wanted to make a swing at overperformance of the closing time perk on special ammo weapons. We have reduced the effect on special ammo weapons to better align it with other perks like threat detector, under pressure, and opening shot. So they reduce the benefits by 50% when used on a special ammo weapon. Machine guns, the thing that we talked about as one of the best primaries in the game. Machine guns are overperforming compared to other heavy ammo options in Crucible. So we have shifted the amount of ammo that they can earn from crates. Machine guns with a magazine size of 80 or less will now get 22 rounds from a heavy ammo crate. We will continue to monitor the Crucible sandbox and we'll make additional changes as needed.
Interesting.
Outside of that, we do have the collaboration with Sea of Thieves and with Brawlhalla. Both of those look super neat. But I think that's the TWID for the week. Congratulations to Jim.
Oh, pretty.
On Art of the Week.
It's a really cool art. I really like it.
Yeah. Jim, like anytime I see their artwork on my timeline, I'm stoked.
Yeah, very true. It's very pretty.
Yeah. That being said, I think we have a couple questions from Cryophoenix, but I'm just going to ask one of them.
Okay.
We have. So, they ask, any thoughts on how Spire the Watcher and Ghost of the Deep mechanics will be updated for the next act? If people have seen a bit of when people got into Prophecy contest mode early, the mechanics did change a bit.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Was it like a mechanics change, or was it like, oh, we're just gonna add champs in there to?
I don't want to speak on it until actually everyone sees, because
Mhm.
like I found out some of it. It is unfortunate that people got in, not because they got in, but because now everyone flocking together to see it at the same time has kind of been ruined.
Mm-hmm.
Some people already know it, and I know like a lot of people they were trying to rush through the dungeon, trying to get the clear before they got kicked out.
Yeah.
There are some unique changes. I'll just put it that way.
If it's mechanics, I'm hoping it's interesting. Like it's interesting mechanics and not just like, oh, we're gonna give like
A lot
health
more health
gates
to this
to the bosses.
boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, give more health and then also give health gates, because I'm sorry, but I'm really tired of health gates overall in this game, but that's a whole other point. If it's mechanics, like here's what I'm hoping. Again, I don't like if they're spoilers, like no needs for spoilers, but like, you know what I kind of miss? I miss Prestige Leviathan, like Leviathan and Prestige Spire of the Stars, where like your mechanics would change slightly. They wouldn't be completely different, but you would have added stuff, or it'd be slightly different, and you had to remember, oh yeah, we're in this prestige mode. We have to, like dogs, you have to kill one more dog, or like I think like the gauntlet.
Alice, it
like
would swap you out. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that, right? Like you had like the mechanics would change slightly. It would still be the same encounter, the base mechanics would be the same, but there would be like an added twist on it or something slightly different to kind of, make it different. Like it's prestige, right? Or make it a bit more difficult or whatever. I'm hoping it's something similar to that. And it's not just like, oh, we're gonna have a fucking Tormentor, or we're gonna add a champ in there just to annoy the heck out of you or to slow you down. I don't want to be slowed down by more health gates, tormentors, or champs. Give me a mechanic.
You didn't say subjugators.
Man, I could see them adding, instead of the ogres in that final room in Prophecy, I could see them adding tormentors in there and it being a real pain in the ass.
Like, they might.
Oh, you mean
and
when,
like,
yeah, I can see that, Dan. That would
Why
be
not
kind
both?
I don't want that. Don't give me that. Give
No.
me something like a mechanic. Give me, I don't know, whatever. I'm like very over, I guess. I'm very over this whole like, oh, let's add this whatever type of enemy to slow people down or to make their lives miserable.
They have the opportunity to do the funniest thing with this though. Like they have the opportunity to take Ghost of the Deep and make it the dungeon that it was meant to be, and have only have 3 things that you do at the beginning to open the dungeon up, and like they take off those overshields on the bosses. Like they have the opportunity to make it better. Like when we were doing our back-to-backs yesterday, people could gift subs in order to make us go to orbit and start the dungeon over. And the only dungeon that it was double the cost for doing that was Ghost of the Deep, because everyone hates that dungeon so much. It is the most detested dungeon that exists in all dungeons.
The traveling makes it
Just the
Traversals are
fact it's
bad.
so onerous. The traversals are so onerous. The opening
Yeah.
is so long. The bosses have so much health and overshield. Like,
Mhm.
but they could make it super cool, and I hope they do that. I hope they make it a little easier on people, and then do like Seth was saying, like do add things that
mechanics.
are fun. Add things that are
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah.
Melting
give me
bosses is fun.
mechanics.
You know,
Yeah, well, that's a
I
whole
actually
yes, I
even
agree.
think I feel like adding like tormentors or subjugators to that prophecy room would be fun because that room is very easy now.
Mhm.
Very, very easy. I feel like that would be really fun to add
You're
something
cruising
like
in that room, dude.
challenging there.
You're just
You
cruising.
cruise it. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, it's going to be a higher, like ultimatum difficulty.
Isn't that? Yeah, I was gonna say
So
ultimatum. Yeah.
ultimatum is going to make that room spicy again, a little more spicy, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my only thing. Like, give me mechanics. Give me stuff where like you have to engage differently because tormentors and champs and subjugators and whatnot, they're fine in some instances, but they're not technically quote unquote engaging other than forcing me to have to deal with them, which delays me from like doing damage to the boss or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, but it's not a mechanic per se. It's just like, oh, another type of enemy that is there to slow me down, kind of whatever. So I'm hoping they do that. I don't know. Like I like for example the inspire, maybe add something slightly different to open the door, right? Or like to set up
Mhm.
the boss, like the boss fight when he goes in back inside and you have to close the door. Like maybe do something slightly different with it. Again, doesn't have to be super complicated. It shouldn't be super complicated,
Mhm.
and it shouldn't be super difficult to do. But if you add one more step mechanics wise, that could be interesting. And I do say could be. It depends on what it is.
They
But
should
stuff like
add
that.
subjugators to the
Stop it.
traversal in prophecy so they can
Oh God.
so they can suspend you while you're trying to. Okay,
Dude, do that on the Rainbow Bridge.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That'll be so.
Oh my God.
You're just,
Stop
you're
it.
just
To be
you're
fair,
just
the
tooting
Rainbow
along,
Bridge.
and then you're like, oh, offended. Oh, I'm.
Mhm.
Well, with the freaking surfboard we have now, the Rainbow Bridge, a lot of it you can just skip.
You can skip the whole.
Mhm.
If you know how to resummon, you can skip the whole thing. You
Oh
really
yeah.
can.
It's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
good. I remember Pidge put
I
out
love
that
it.
video like probably the first
Yeah.
week that the skimmers were out
Yeah.
of just
yeah.
like
I love it.
skimming.
yes. Yep.
Yeah.
It was, but it's
Shout out to
great because
Pidge.
like the Rainbow Bridge, yeah, shout
Mhm.
out to Pidge. But the Rainbow Bridge, it's a beautiful location. I love looking at it, and then the first time you run through this dungeon, it's a whole experience. It's beautiful, it's amazing, it's all of that things. But after a while, when you just want to get to the like next encounter, it is a really long traversal. But at least with the skimmer now you can skip. Like you could sparrow fly if you knew how to sparrow fly. You could sparrow fly before, but at least with the skimmer now you can like skip all of it
way
or
easier
most
to
of it.
just resummon.
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
it's.
I've done it
so
before,
much...
and I'm a noob, so it was
Yeah,
I'm not
skimmer
even a
makes
day
it
on,
so good.
So.
I could see them.
Right, Seth?
I could see them adding the nukes, like
Oh,
the
totally.
nuke banes into the cube room. And
The
because
nuke
of like
banes?
how
Mhm.
small that
Oh, you mean
space
like
is.
the-
Man, yeah, the
You're talking
Bane.
about the Court of Blades burst modifier?
Oh, I haven't done that.
Mm.
Like
I don't know what you're talking about, sorry.
you have to explode a bomb?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could do that, like something like that. I could see
mean-
them adding stuff like that.
I don't again, if it's a mechanic more than like adding a specific type of enemy that's just annoying to deal with, then I don't care. Like I don't care. It might be a little bit more interesting. But
Mm.
I also just don't want them to become difficult for the sake of being difficult.
Mm.
If that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing that I think Bungie is a bit struggling right now is that making older like revamping older content to make it engaging. I think like to me overall, some content is great, don't get me wrong, but some content they're struggling in the sense of making it engaging without making it like difficult for the sake of being
Mm.
difficult and just a drag to go through. I don't want content to be a drag to go through. I want content to be fun so that I want to play it again and again and again and again because dude, that was so much fun.
Mhm.
I want to do it again. Let's go again. And I think they're struggling in that regard recently. Like for a little bit actually, they've been struggling a lot with that. In my opinion. Again, it's my opinion.
All right. I'm gonna grab this question. So we've had a couple more questions pop up, and
Sure.
we'll ask those two, and then call it a night here.
Yes, Jeff.
Yes, Jeff. Doomhammer 56 asks, what would your thoughts be on finally retiring champions in favor of Banes?
They're not the same. They to me they serve two different purposes.
Mm.
Now, I'm
I
not
think they
saying I really
complement
like
each other.
champions.
I was gonna say
In
they
a way,
complement.
yes.
Yeah.
Like here's the thing. I don't like champions a lot. I don't mind them. Again, I don't like when they're added for no reason other than to make something more difficult.
Mm.
But they're what's the word I'm looking for? They're predictable, quote unquote. Once you know, oh, there's gonna be a champ there, you know there's gonna be a champ there.
Mhm.
And like you're like, okay, well, I know I need to deal with it this way, and I need to, enter this encounter this way or whatever, right? So it becomes this quote unquote predictability where okay, cool, this is it. I know this is gonna happen there, blah blah blah. Banes, on the other hand, are less predictable. You can get one in the very beginning of a thing, you can get one randomly, but they're not as annoying to deal with, quote unquote, than
Mhm.
champs, right? You don't need specific weapons for them. You just need to be aware that, hey, there's a Bane there. That's what it does. Whatever. Deal with it quickly, or you can quote unquote ignore it, or whatever. And then you have sometimes, I think, the really rare occurrence of like getting a champ Bane, which is very funny. But I like that it's a little bit of a random thing, and it adds a little bit of space in the whole thing, but in a good way. So I would keep them separated, and you keep the predictability of champs, but you keep the unpredictability of Banes.
Mhm.
And sometimes you get that spice of like a champ Bane, which can be extremely annoying to deal with.
Freaking
But I'm not
Leecher
in a bad
Bane.
way.
Freaking Leecher champ Bane.
Dude, those
the
are
Drain Bane. I like all the Banes are fine except for Drain.
Drain Bane.
They
Yeah,
can
that one's
take that
annoying.
and put it in the fucking trash bin and like dispose of it on Mars for all I care.
Mhm.
That is the worst.
I agree
I
with that,
cannot tell you
Its
how many
range is
times
nuts too.
I have
Yeah.
wiped it in
If
activity
it sees you-
because some random enemy is just like, I'm gonna drain and I'm gonna murder all of you guys. I'm on the opposite side
You
of the
guys
map
better
and
hide
can't
from
do anything
me.
about it.
You
Because
wanna
for some
hide?
reason you're doing a glaive and only challenge. You don't have any kind of branch. Blah blah blah. So stupid. I hate it so
Dude,
much.
Even if
okay,
you
I like-
hide sometimes, it still drains you.
Yeah.
So bad. It's so bad. I hate it.
Crazy.
I hate it. Besides that, I do agree with you, Seth, that the Banes are fun because they're random
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
unpredictable. But I also think that the champs are kind of pushovers now, to
Yeah.
some extent. Like
They're
I
not
think
nearly
what
as bad as
Bungie-
they used to be.
They're not nearly as
No,
bad as
yeah,
they used to be.
100%.
They definitely require some like optimization building, but there's just so many ways you can stun them now. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
so many ways. I think Bungie's a good job of not only making shields less oppressive by like allowing you to take down shields with whatever you want to now. Like you can just say, "Oh, I want to take them down really fast," or "I don't really care. I'm just going to brute force this." You can
Yeah.
kill an unstoppable champion without stunning it. Like
Mhm.
literally.
Yep.
Is it going to take you longer? Yeah, it's going to take you a little
Yeah.
longer, but you can still do that. Like you can with the chill clip freaking sidearm,
Oh, yeah.
I could stun
Oh,
every
yeah.
single champion in like the GM. And I'm like, that I'm sorry, that's not difficult. That's not difficult to do for build crafting. Like
Yeah.
champs are kind of
No.
I'm not saying that like I'm not saying that it isn't annoying
Mhm.
that Bungie adds them in any activity. They were like, oh, we're gonna make this activity hard. Let's add champions. I get that. That's a little annoying,
Mhm.
but I'm just saying they're not as oppressive or difficult as they used to be. They
No.
really are not.
Yeah.
They're not that bad. So
That guy Illist in chat says something that I think I'm more agreeing to. It's like, if you, the conversation going on in chat right now is that Doomhammer is saying, to me, it hinders build crafting and puts me in a pre-dictated box, which, as we know, I don't like that at all when it comes to like the umbrella, to an umbrella activity, right? Like, we're not going to mention its name again, otherwise everybody's going to take a shot.
Dan's like, I know you're gonna make this podcast really.
Yeah, we're not
I'm
gonna,
not gonna bring
we're
it
not
up.
gonna- we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. But,
Okay.
But that guy Illis responded with like, I actually think it's the opposite because then you would use the same build all the time, which we have talked about in the past where like, you don't really need optimized weapons to get through everything in this game. You can just kind of run whatever, and like having something that is pushing up against you a little bit to make you build craft a little bit and make you think of the actual puzzle without just like steamrolling through, I think makes the game more interesting.
It's not. It doesn't just make the game more interesting. It makes the loot matter.
Yeah.
Which is important for Destiny.
Why have a vault if you only are going to use one thing?
Why are you playing a looter shooter, right? Like if you can use one set of weapons to do everything in the entire game without restriction or limitation, why are you going to need 700 spaces for all 7 Fatebringers that you won't delete because Epic Dan said it was okay?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you need loot to matter in a looter shooter. Having these like build crafting engineering problems when they're overly restrictive, I get it. That sucks. It feels super bad. You want to play the game how you want to play. But if they're not overly restrictive and they mean that you want, like, I don't know, a void grenade launcher for a particular thing because it has anti-barrier or whatever you need to build into, like, and that element matters because of some surge or whatever, like, that's cool. That makes me want to play the game. I think that's okay.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that, and I think that like the champs are not as oppressive or not as difficult to deal with, but I still think that sometimes Bungie abuses the fact that they can use them to quote unquote make content a little bit more difficult. Like to me, again, I'm gonna go back with I prefer mechanics over champs personally. Like I think it's more interesting. That's maybe just me, or maybe it's like not a lot of people, which fair, but the Banes. I really enjoy them, other than the Drain one. But
fuck that Drain.
Because,
sorry.
Yeah, that Drain one is that one can die in a fire. That's fine, but they're fun. They're like different, and you don't really know when you'll get them. Sometimes they'll appear a bit more often in like a specific space or whatever, and that's okay. But sometimes it's just a random one, and you're like, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. I have to deal with it now, or I have to find a way to avoid it if I can. Whatever. I think it's cool because it makes a little bit it's not a challenge. I think it's more like it changes your way of doing things, right? Because especially for gyms, like I ran some GMs today. I ran like Scarlet Keep and I ran Warden of Nothing. They're fairly easy GMs overall. Yeah. And at some point I remember we were doing in Scarlet Keep when you have to separate and then go on each side of the towers to grab the thing to open the bridge. So one of the wizard was a Bane too. So it's a wizard, has a ton of health, and it has its own like solar shield, and now it's also a Bane. And it's like, oh, you have to deal with it slightly differently, right? So I like that. I think it's cool because it spices it up a little bit. It makes it more again, it's engaging in a different way. So you have to be like, oh, I'm not gonna go through the motions, all of it, or like the whole run. I'm gonna go through the motions for a lot of it, maybe, but I'll have to deal with Banes here and there, and it's just to me it makes it more engaging.
Yeah, I would just say, like, my last thought on this question is that it's not that champs make the game difficult or overly restrictive. I'm saying at this point, I don't think either is true. I think they're just a boring way to make content harder. I'm tired of it. I feel like Bungie can do better. They can be creative. I think the Banes are an example of them being more, and I would love to see more of that ilk. I would like to see more like that.
Yeah. I think the complement of those two, like of Banes and champs together, actually is fun, and I've been having fun when engaging with those in those ways.
I wouldn't forget about Tormentors and Subjugators. Like, if you ever, I don't want to mention it, like Dan said, but we're starting to see more content that you have these layers of enemies that you have to fight. You have to fight maybe champions. But then you're going to have champions with subjugators and maybe a tormentor and then Banes. And it's like you said, we haven't seen any new champions in 6 years. And it's because they finally decided to start figuring out other ways to make us engage with difficult content. It's always difficult unless you have pre-added mechanics, to make the content harder, especially if they want to add it to a Grandmaster.
Right.
So
Yeah.
unfortunately, the
Yeah,
more
enemy types,
straightforward way
modifiers.
is enemy types
Yeah.
and modifiers
Yeah.
and all these things that they add that we obviously either don't like or it's like why is this in this GM doesn't make sense. It's
Oh, don't get Dan started.
it's in there to,
We're not going to do this tonight. We're not doing this tonight. I'm trying to keep the show under 2 hours, and it's already not working.
Okay.
Didn't want to bring it up.
Don't rile him up.
And we're just not going to talk about it.
We're not bringing it up again. Sorry,
Just
Dan.
not going to.
That's the closest I was going to get to bringing it up. So I was trying to toe that line just for you, man.
Man, fuck that perk.
Oh, you got him.
Solo Asian asks, if there was something that you wish Bungie would take from other games to add into an encounter design, what would it be?
Into an encounter design or just into the game?
Into an encounter design.
Highly specific.
Because if it wasn't an encounter design, the thing I've always wanted is a tower mode. Personally, I've always thought that could be unique. And if you don't know what a tower mode is, it is, at least in other games like Final Fantasy had it, and also Tom Clancy's The Division had it, where you went into an activity, and it's kind of like Rushdown currently, but instead of the cap being 5, the cap was 100. And there was obviously tiers, or there was tiers and floors, and it was basically how far can you get with randomization of activity modifiers, penalties, and the occasional buff. And I guess the best way of thinking of it, like, imagine Rushdown, but instead of it being capped at 5, it was capped at 100. And there was rewards for hitting certain tiers, and there were leaderboards. I think I've always felt leaderboards should be in Destiny, and has been a missing thing, because even though it's a looter shooter, there's only so much loot that I care about. I will care about placement on leaderboards. Unfortunately, a lot of people do. As far as an activity, though, I can't think of one out of my head, but if it wasn't that word activity, it would be a tower activity. Or
I can think
a
of
tower-based system.
So, and this comes from a game that came out very recently, Split Fiction. Having a mechanic where two people have to solve in tandem together with like a split screen would be interesting, I think.
Split screen in Destiny?
Yeah. Like they force you into a third person perspective. Like maybe you're not able to fire your weapons. Maybe you have to carry a relic. But in order to figure out the puzzle, you're able to see both sides of an equation. And you're like, oh, no. You got to go over there. You got to put it to the right instead of to the left. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're actively like, that's the call out, is you having a more personal puzzle piece to the full thing.
It would be interesting if they had like a puzzle system that actually required two people to do the puzzle. Like Verity.
I like the idea of the puzzle. I'm more iffy about the split screen thing.
Oh, like I don't know how it would work in Destiny. I'm just, if I'm throwing something out there.
I know, but like
my thinking was maybe Portal, if you've ever played Portal 2. Portal 2 has a system like that where it's technically split screen, but you have to press a button and then it pulls up the other person's POV on the side of the screen.
That could be really cool, actually.
So you can do that.
That I would be down for. Yeah, 100%.
I mean,
It
like,
opens and
kind of like
closes.
Dual Destiny, Dual Destiny.
Folks are saying that that's like Verity. What I'm saying is like it forces you into split screen. Like it has to be split screen.
If you guys have ever played It Takes Two, it's the same. It's the same.
It's the same.
And like it takes like that. That was one. That's the thing I didn't really like about It Takes Two. I understand why it's there. Like I fully get it, and it's fine. I really loved It Takes Two, but the split screen, like the forced split screen, was a bit frustrating at times. But like Dan says, like it would require you to both be doing a very specific mechanic together. And like force cooperation, because that's what those games Split Fiction and It Takes Two, they're all about collaboration. You have to work together. If you don't work together, it's not going to work. So I'd be down for that. I think it'd be cool because like Dual Destiny, you have to work together, but not to that extent. It's not the
But
same.
you can do that. Like, you have to work together, but you can do it without any call outs. What I'm talking about is something that is like
Yeah.
call out heavy, intense puzzle forces you to do it with two.
What about a brig?
That would be great.
When you said that, I don't know why. The first thing I thought of was Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the entire Guardians having to drive
Yes.
a big brig, all 6 of them.
Yes.
One's got to deal with one arm, one leg.
Somebody has to deal with the heat. Somebody has to deal with the heat that's rising. Yeah. So you have to.
The calm.
Yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
That would be a very.
Somebody's got to fire a
thing.
weapon. Somebody's got to. Yeah. Rad as hell, dude.
Yeah.
Rad as hell. Anybody else?
I don't have any great answers. I think there's definitely some places in encounters where you could be like, oh, that could be a door that I could go into, like a secret door. Like thinking about the most recent dungeon. Apparently, according to the lore, when you finish the dungeon, that door that's at the end, there's an even worse boss behind that door. So, like, how cool would that be if you could open that door? Like, I have a friend that I do that dungeon with a lot, and he's always like, I want to open the door and see what, they've been creating on the other side, what's locked in there. And I'm like something like that could be really cool. Like kind of like a bonus boss level, I guess, for the dungeons.
Oh, that'd be cool.
A lightning round.
You finish the dungeon and then you're like, you thought you were done. It's just like, you're not done. And then the mega boss comes out.
Yeah.
I've always just generally for Destiny, I've always wanted like zombies mode, like an unlimited go until you die type mode in some kind like a horde mode. I feel like the horde modes that they've released have never exactly scratched the itch that I've been looking for. And I would love
Onslaught
to see
came
like
close.
You know what? It was
Even
good. Like I said, like
no.
I would love to see like some kind of like really well done, like for me, unlimited. I would need it to go until it's too hard for you to continue. Something like that would be amazing. Even like the haunted forest, it felt capped. Like something that doesn't have a time cap, that has like basically go until you're exhausted, you can't game anymore, or like you need to eat, or like you die. Like I don't know, just like make something uncapped. That would be so fun.
I've always wondered why they didn't dip into that, because you're absolutely right.
It would be so great, and I think the replayability on that would be so good, because like everyone would be like, well, how far did you get? And how far did you get? And then the speedrunners would be like, oh my God, like this is such a great challenge for me to do. And like, everyone.
I think the only time we quote unquote got that, I'm sorry, I'm going to bring it again, was Revelry. But then we'd crash the game.
Yeah.
The game would crash.
I mean, maybe that's why they haven't included it. And there's time or level cap or something like that. Maybe on it, and like maybe it's just a separate thing that you load, and that would be completely all right if that was the case. But then also, of course, like romanceable characters. I think we need to bring it into Destiny.
They added it to Warframe.
Destiny dating.
They added it into Warframe.
Oh my God.
Maybe not in a dungeon, but like generally.
Yeah.
What if it's all raid bosses? You have to romance raid bosses.
Remember, we used to give our cookies, and now we don't. We stopped. We're so mean.
Rolk would be very popular.
There's many characters that would be are very romanceable from the Destiny universe, I would say.
Yeah. Dan, what did you say? I think you were muted.
Hey.
Oh, he's still muted.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
No. All I said was just let me do a raid boss and have to defend my family from them.
A charisma check. A charisma check against a raid boss?
There you go.
Oh my God.
I think you're on to something. Destiny dating is the next.
Yes, Destiny dating sim.
Fuck yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I love it.
All right.
Somebody's gonna make it.
Somebody's gonna. Well, I think somebody's already made it. Is the thing.
Oh yeah, it exists.
Yeah, it exists.
Sure.
I think Bungie did it during a game jam, right? Like.
Oh, did they?
I think
my God,
that might have been
so
one of the things.
Oh,
Anyways.
Anyways.
Hey, that was a good show, guys. Y'all did great.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you all. and I say this to you guys every week. This is one of the highlights of my week. So thanks for coming and hanging out. Let's tell the people where they can find you on the internet and what's going on in your week, in your content. Tiddly, let's start with you.
Sure. I am on Blue Sky, Tiddly on Blue Sky, and I am streaming Monday through Friday, 9:00 Central. I'm in Minnesota on twitch.tv/Tiddly. I'm also doing Bungie creator activity this week. I'm on Sammy Cat's team, and then Shield Maiden has a team, and Save the Blade also have a team. We're doing Court of Blades challenge. We have 5 runs to get like the highest score that we can, and it's 6 p.m. Central on Thursday night, 7 o'clock.
Heck yeah.
On through for that should be fun. Court of Blades creator challenge. Fun.
Hell yeah. Seth, what about you, friend?
Nothing really planned this week. I'm gonna try maybe some Iron Banner, but other than that, I'm gonna try to finish some books. And then try to get my partner into Destiny again. So that's gonna be a whole other thing.
Godspeed. Hey. Good luck.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, other than that, well, catching up probably. I'm gonna try to catch up with a story. Like, I'm so behind. Ridiculous.
It's fast.
It's good.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's really fast. And
It's
it's
good.
really good
That's
too.
the thing, right? I've heard really good things about it. People say it's a pretty good story. It's not like it's fast to do, and then the activities are great. Like I enjoyed another, right? So going back into that is fine with me. But yeah, so I think I'm just gonna try to catch up and then try to make him catch up with stuff too and see where that goes. That's it. Pretty much it.
Epic Dan, you.
Outside of Vault of Glass, there's really not too much going on with me. Obviously, there's some new seasonal stuff next week, but yeah, you can find me on twitch.tv, EpicDan22. If you are awake, I'm probably live.
He's going to be on VOG for the next 48 hours or so.
Yes,
got that going for you. And then just on YouTube and the TikTok and the Blue Sky.
Heck yeah. My name is Danfinity. You can find me at danfinity.gg. That's my website. You can also find me on Blue Sky at danfinity.gg. You can also find me on Twitch 3 days a week, twitch.tv/danfinity, where we do PvE helps and stuff like that. I don't know what we're going to do this week. I know tomorrow I have the final Rushdown Roulette event with Shield Maiden and Zavala. I think we're going to be doing that like closer to 8 p.m. Eastern on Monday. So if this episode goes live by that time, feel free to come by and hang out. For the most part, though, I don't think I have too much planned. We might check out Immortal 33, which is a game of
looking at that.
Yeah, it's a game where 33 people are playing a raid. Where you just dropped into a massive MMO raid, and it seems fun. So we're gonna check that out. Outside of that, I think that's all. That's fit to print. Thank you, folks, for checking out episode 95 of the Destiny Digest podcast. Be well, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.